Morning. Hello. I have more work to finish. Um, okay. Hello, finally caught a stream. Yeah, I sometimes do streams at a more reasonable hour for people on the West Coast. But unfortunately, it is not a Genshin stream today. Maybe if we have a little time, but I have so much work I need to get through. So we're going to take another look. Oh, shoot, what am I doing? What did I press? Report cards. As I try to sort my head around what I need to finish. But yeah, this isn't. Oh yes, you know what? We could watch Mujin's video instead. So glad to go into weekend. Yay for weekend. I heard about Cavi's crazy dream. But yeah, how are you doing, Macvale? I hope you're well. Oh shoot, my alarm went off. Okay. You're doing a public service, gonna go marry Vin. Yeah, let me know how that goes. Oh my gosh. His embarrassing dream. Yes, he told everybody about it quite proudly. We are hoping he turns it into an actual story. I guess it's better than his Zyok stream. Okay, sorry. Oh, headphones are on. So let me turn off this one. Okay. You're gonna pick ceremony just for us and see what happens because you picked Mary for real. Oh, wait, we get a choice. Oh my gosh, I don't even remember that. That feels so long ago. Oh, would you like to hear the latest shenanigans from Miss Free Pass? You still refuse to watch any of his content? Poor Cappy. Poor Cappy. But yeah, let me see. What was I saying? Yeah. I only saw locking to finish some assignments. Hopefully, love your motto. Very elegant. Okay, yeah. I hope you get your work done too. I am also going to be kind of working with some noise in the background as I chat. Which hopefully will go well. But yeah. So Miss Free Pass. On about Wednesday, she came to ask me about what lessons she should be doing because she was ahead of some class. And I was just like, oh my God, why do you still not know how to plan out your schedule? And then she, like, I was trying to figure out what it was because I would be her substitute on Friday. So I asked her, where will you be by Friday with this class? And she did not understand the question at all. And I'm just like, what is hard for you to get about this question? Like, I was like, by Friday, because I was trying to explain the context. I'm going to be the teacher teaching your classes. Where will they be? Right. And then I can give you the advice. Right. But instead, what this girl keeps saying in response is, I'm leaving on Thursday. I was like, do you Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm wondering if she somehow switched gears in the conversation and thought I was talking about her actual physical location. Because I don't know why she was so confused and why her answer, she just kept saying, I'm leaving on Thursday. So then, eventually, I was able to be like, I'm teaching the class on Friday. What will they be done with? Okay. At the time of my lesson. And I was just like, oh my God, it took forever to get her to give me a clear answer. And then we asked about I know we don't care about like, we were literally talking, like she came to me to ask about the lessons. It wasn't like I approached her with no context and said, where will you be on Friday? It was like part of a conversation with clear context. And then, drives me crazy. And then afterwards, like I taught the classes, right? And of course, she's underprepared with materials, whatever. I was like, thank God I'm a good teacher. And then, um, one of her afternoon classes, I was checking their homework for completion, and they already got completion stamps. So I was like, why did you even assign this for homework if it's already done? But I look over the answers, and one of the sentences, and I'm changing the names because I don't remember the characters' names in the sentence, but the sentence was Andrew is borner than Lydia, because they were asked to turn it into a comparative adjective from the original sentence that said Andrew was born before Lydia, right? And rather than correcting that to Andrew is younger than Lydia, she just left it as is. She clearly didn't check any of the books. So I collected that book. I put it on her desk, and I'm going to make her correct every single page of the grammar exercises and return them to me to be checked. Because a classic free pass. Yep, a classic free pass. So so I'm gonna have to end up. And then I checked her report cards yesterday, and she still does this weird thing where she calls the student miss, which you can do in a teasing way talking to them, but like why would you do it in a report card to their parents? Like that's fucking weird, right? To call their child Miss Momo, right? Like it's because she's gone on her unsanctioned. Yeah. Yep. And we're subbing for her. And I subbed for her in most of her classes yesterday. And I'm going to be subbing for most of them again on Monday. And suddenly my boss wants to have a meeting to go over the training schedules for the two teachers that are coming. And I'm just like, you couldn't have like arranged this earlier, because we have literally one day left before vacation. We have only Monday, and I'm going to be so busy. So like, whatever. Um, but yeah. And I told her, like, I can just send you the schedule that I've already planned, to be honest, because I'm not like the type of person to save this stuff for late. I've had a schedule ready like at least since last week. But um she wants to go me to go over it before I make a schedule. I'm like, well, I've already made one, but fine. We can we can talk, I suppose. I don't know. I just think it's easier to just we don't have to talk in person. Sometimes it's necessary, but like this in this case, I'm just like, just approve the schedule or don't, like give me things you want to adjust. My schedules are pretty detailed. So yeah. But yeah, such is life. And I forgot to take out my USB. So that's why we're mostly doing stuff like report cards today. Work is also blown up because one doc, oh no, out on maternity leave early. We had to scramble to reschedule or see all her people. Next 2 weeks, we're gonna be understaffed. Oh yeah, because you're not ready for it. Oh, early, lots of changes of plans. Yeah, I hate when plans change. So like a teacher was supposed to arrive last week actually, but they didn't arrive. And I didn't find out until like that Sunday when I checked in again to ask them about it. And they were like, oh, she doesn't have her visa yet. And I was like, when were you going to tell me? Because as far as I knew, she was supposed to be here this Monday. So yeah, miscommunication. And I like So stressful. Yeah. Yeah, when you're understaffed, it's hard, right? Because you don't even have anyone to take the load off while you're doing like extra work, right? My throat. Okay. My throat is like so scratchy from talking so much, but I'm still gonna be talking today. We're still having an office pool party though. Kathy is invited. Nice. Pool party, perfect for summer. Okay, so let's see. We can do either, let's do the marks first. Oh, I do have writing marks to grade too, but let's do that in a bit. Let's do behavior marks. And then we'll do, I'll do. Oh, I think I did the behavior marks actually. Did I? 7. Oh, I think I did 8. I need to do 7. Okay. And then I'm going to do, oh no, I did 7. Did I not do 8? Okay, I didn't do 8, which is fine because I need to do comments anyway. So yeah. Office manager changed as of today. It's gonna be a mess. Oh no. Did they get training at least before they came in? They weren't like just thrown into the job, right? You're also making Kathy take you to the state fair. Nice. That's a cute date. Um, I've never been to, I think, a fair type of thing. But I guess like because I don't live in the Midwest, right? Checks for understanding by asking questions. I mean, this is very similar to last night, but I don't know. Um, Not really. um, Completes homework assignments. Yeah, he does. Effort. Yeah. Prepared for with books. Yeah. Works independently. Yeah, ish. Positive attitude. Nope. Pays attention and follows directions. Yeah. Courteous and respectful. Yes. Works well with others. Yes. Listening, understanding. Nope. And demonstrates effort ish. Okay. Next student. We're adding so many momos. Probably gonna go see if there's anything cool, and if not, just leave. What kind of things do you see at state fairs? Is there like a Ferris wheel, or is it like just a lot of booths selling stuff? Um, I tried to go to Gay Pride, like, because I thought it was still like open, but it turns out like it wasn't. And um, instead, what I had seen was booths for a Thai festival, like a Thai culture festival. But we had just come from eating, so I was not hungry enough to buy anything there, which kind of sucks because delicious Thai food. Check for understanding. This wasn't recently. This was like when my sister was here. Um, Not really. Oh my gosh. Complete his homework. Ooh, kind of. Demonstrates effort. Yeah, I guess. Prepares for class. Yeah. Works well independently ish. Positive attitude. Eh. Pays attention. Does he pay attention? Yeah. Courteous and respectful. More than he used to anyway. Yes. Works well with others. Yes. Listens with understanding. Nope. Demonstrates effort in class ish. But this class on average scored higher um than the average among our like entire, not campus, um the entire like franchise. Lots of animals for sale, which is sad. Oh, that's really sad. Students are smart. Yeah, I'm really happy for these kids because they're actually not that bright, but like I guess something clicked for at least this lesson. I'm working hard with these ones. These are the lower level class that was suddenly thrust upon me. Lots of animals for sale. We're interested if there's a bird trainer. A lot of deep fried snacks. Yes, that sounds very Americana. A tractor show. What is a tractor show? Oh, like is it like a one of those? Is it like an airplane show where they just kind of show off, like in order to sell? Okay. Let me see. This student. Checks for understanding. Nope. Completes homework assignments. Barely. Demonstrates effort-ish. Prepared for class. Yeah. Works in... No, actually, no. He's forgotten his book several times. Works well independently. Nope. But just ish enough. Positive attitude. He is pretty positive. Pays attention. Nope. Courteous and respectful. Yes. Works well with others so far. Listens with understanding. Demonstrates effort in class. Okay. No, the order changed. I don't know what makes this happen, but sometimes, like, the order of the students will just change on my list. And it's very annoying because I'm, like, trying to go down a list, right? Why would they do that to me? Why would they just suddenly change the order? There's got to be some bug in the system. At least no one asked me this year if she could ride the Gravitron for 6 weeks pregnant. Wow. Well, I guess I'm not that surprised you've gotten a question like that. You get some interesting cases. Kathy said that someone assumed that he was gay because he doesn't check out women. Um, okay, this Momo checks. Yes, she asks questions. She finishes her homework, puts effort, prepared for class. Definitely, everything is good except her comprehension. Okay. This student also very good. Only thing for comprehension. Actually, no, she understands better than most. Okay. All right. Oh, this guy. Okay, this Momo. Momo is checks for understanding. Yeah. Completes homework assignments. Yeah. Demonstrates effort in homework. Yes. Prepared for class. Yes. Works well independently. Kind of. Positive attitude. Yeah, kind of. Pays attention. Yeah. Courteous and respectful. No. The area where he's actually lacking. Oh God. But he does understand the majority of our work, so. Um. Okay. He just gets into fights with all the other students. You got your free Gilgamesh? Oh, is that available already? Okay, I'll do that on my phone right now. I'll get him because he's free. I don't want to miss a free character. You don't when you're at work. Do you check women out in like other situations? I'm sorry, I'm trying to like imagine checking people out. Like when I mean I admire beautiful people, but I don't know if it's like the same, you know? So, okay, this student, she works very hard. Her only problem is that she does not understand. Okay. Oh, this kid. Okay. Prepared for class-ish. Works well independently. Nope. Constant distraction. Positive attitude. Pays attention. Nope. Courteous and respectful. Nope. Works well with others. Nope. Listens with understanding. Nope. Demonstrates effort. Nope. Okay. I think this is the last one. For this level anyway. Okay, this student. Let's see. Checks for understanding. Nope. Completes homework assignments. Ish. Effort into homework. Yeah. Prepared for class. Yes. Works well independently and stays on task. Nope. Positive attitude. She is positive. Pays attention and follows directions. No, but that's because she doesn't understand them. She's polite though. Okay. And I think, okay, now we can write the report cards. When you see anime pics of anime women, okay, that's different. You know, you like, when is that gonna come up even at work? you know? They put Gilgamesh in Star Rail. He's so damn evil. Is he? I guess that makes sense though, given his like the way that I've seen him depicted, like his design and stuff. I don't remember my ID, my sign in. Hopefully this is correct. Oh, it's correct. I guessed right on the first try. Go me. Yeah, but like your coworker wouldn't see that, you know?
And I have a microphone. Aren't you excited? I'm excited. For the past few years, women have been a little bit more aware about how little
Let me know
the
if it needs to go
patriarchy
down
cares
lower.
about them and how it's
I
woven
need
into
background
everyday
noise.
things. The red pill movement has made some men more aggressive in their misogyny.
More like
and
he's
women have become
amoral.
a little bit
Sees
more
himself as
vigilant
above
and more
morality
aware.
because he's
Red
divine.
flags are
I mean,
brighter
that
than
sounds
ever,
like a
and the
very
rose-tinted
godlike thing
glasses
to do.
are
Do you
off.
know what I mean?
But you can't just ask your new boyfriend, hey, are you a misogynist? While you're still in the honeymoon phase. So instead, you take him to the movies. Welcome back to Siren Cinema, where I talk about movies and look fabulous while doing so. Do you love my outfit? I love my outfit.
Ow,
Get
ow,
into the
ow,
outfit.
ow, 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 ow,
Today
ow,
we're
ow, ow,
discussing
ow,
what I
ow,
call the
ow,
film
ow.
litmus
Oh,
test.
something happened.
Before we get
My
started,
ankle.
make sure to like this video and comment a piece of fruit down below as an offering to my siren brethren, because we would like to have something sweet to eat.
I popped
and we don't want to attack
something,
you
I
while
think.
you're
Oh no.
enjoying the beach this summer.
Oh,
I
this is
also have
why.
siren friends who live on
This is
freshwater
why I
lakes,
need to
so
sit
if
in the
you're
position that I
you're
do.
also not safe.
This
That
is the
being
safest.
said,
Okay.
let's dive in. In the past few years,
Right.
I've noticed a trend. Many women are taking their male partners to the movie theaters. It's not a weird thing to do, per se. I mean,
All right,
people go to the movies all the time.
Let's talk
and
about
it used to
first
be an
Momo.
inexpensive date.
That doesn't voice lines. He calls us a treasure because he sees the Stellaron as a weapon and he collects weapons. Okay.
I am not, but hats off to you.
Somewhat
One day,
kinky.
I will be there. But seriously, women are taking their male partners to the movie theaters for what I call the film litmus test. A litmus test, according to Merriam-Webster,
to be a treasure,
is a test in which a single factor is decisive.
Oh, I saw a tweet. Have you read TGCF? I don't know what that is, but I assume that that's the heavenly principles. Not principles. Sorry.
Love Island is released. By the way, if your man is
Oh no, now I'm only thinking heavenly principles.
Kick him to the curb right now.
He wants to shove us into his treasury.
Anyway, the two most recent films that I feel have inspired women
so like,
to test their partners in this way
I saw a funny
Barbie
tweet that was kind of like this person who I think to them they were like, "Oh, this is groundbreaking information," and I was like, "I haven't even read this series, and I would have like immediately thought of this." But that's because I read too much BL. But anyway, let me see where is it?
I also have on boots because you can't see my boots. Look at my boots. They're cool. They're cool boots. Obsession is a 2026 indie horror movie made by the director Curry Barker, and it follows the story of Baron, or Bear.
I once read a review by a Chinese fan that interpreted Xielan's being stabbed 100 times as a metaphor for sexual abuse, and I found it incredibly interesting. They pointed out that in Chinese symbolism, swords are often used as a phallic metaphor. Swords are a phallic metaphor everywhere.
So yes, Obsession actually is still beating The Mandalorian and Grogu.
So yeah, I just kind of...
As somebody with a film degree, I am so happy about that. Now,
yeah,
people who I feel are completely out of touch with what the average person
I'm like, yeah, that would clearly be
are confused as to why Obsession is doing so well. I'm not.
Like an
However,
like
the
a rape
topic
scene,
of the
you know,
film inspires conversation, and that is the main reason why this movie was so big. This movie touches on two main topics: incel culture and women's autonomy. This movie can act as an analogy for how women can lose their autonomy to men. And I know tropes. I know them too well. There will be spoilers for the film ahead, so if you haven't seen the movie, please go check it out. Support young filmmakers and actors and just all of the indie things. And if you're too
I can
scared to
see it.
watch
Yeah,
the
somebody
movie,
else
because
commented
let's
below
face it,
that, or
I
maybe
didn't
it was the
sleep in
same
the night like
person,
for 2 weeks
that
after I
like
saw this movie for the first
he
time.
gets really mad when
Please
he
check
looks
out
in the
other
mirror
YouTubers who
afterwards
talk about
because the
movies. I highly
discrepancy
recommend Amanda
of
the
what he
Jedi.
looks
She
like,
does an
which is
amazing job
fine,
at covering horror movies.
and
She has a
the
spoiler-free
horrible experience he went through
discussion
is
about
like
the
so
movie
vast.
before she
Um,
talks about all the
so
spoilers in the
I was like, oh,
movie,
that's
and she
deep,
goes through the entire film.
but like,
It's very
yeah, the
great.
stabbing, I'm like,
Check out her content.
I would definitely
Anyway,
have
moving
read that
along.
as,
The topic of incel
it was a
culture in
horrific
this movie
scene,
is
very
a
much
lot
of
less
breaking the haughty
direct
moments.
than the topic
Oh,
about women's autonomy.
I'm glad he didn't
However,
completely
Bear,
break,
our
I
main
assume.
character, does act as a really good representation of how incel culture can begin in young men. For those who don't know, incel means involuntary celibate, which basically talks about a male who has trouble having or keeping romantic or sexual partners.
Okay, first Momo.
The culture is referencing the community online that houses these men. Now, becoming an incel doesn't happen overnight. One rejection from a woman does not make you an incel. It's often driven by extreme self-isolation. This isolation often leads to antisocial behavior that over time often becomes violent, especially directed towards women. A lot of young men are swept into the red pill pipeline and incel culture because they feel like they're alone in the world. It starts with a small fear of rejection or a fear of change, and those feelings grow over time, and instead of being dissected and worked on
want to know
by
more,
the
of
person who's
course.
experiencing them,
After
those
that
feelings
scene,
are
he lost
instead
it for a while
projected
and went
outward
nuts.
onto
I
another
mean,
person. Bear makes
considering
the wish
that
that
he
Nikki would love him
was
in a moment of
metaphorically
frustration with
raped,
himself,
yeah,
not having the courage to tell her how he feels, even though she straight up asked him, "Do you like me?" to his face, and he could have just said yes, because she said whenever she has a crush on a guy, nobody knows, which means she might have liked Bear even a little bit and would have been willing to give it a chance if he had just admitted it out loud.
She gave him every opportunity, man.
But he didn't, which is understandable at first, but then things change. Bear doesn't know that the wish will work, but what makes him a bad person is when he fully confirms that the wish is what's altering her behavior and continues to pursue a romantic relationship with her, even though it's non-consensual at this point. When Nikki talks to him in the car at her house right after he made
The
the
bad guy
wish,
basically wanted to break him because of jealousy and orchestrated a plague to destroy his kingdom and his people.
Him glancing down at the One Wish Willow and the One Wish Willow on his seat. This is the film telling us that Bear suspects that his wish actually worked, but he doesn't have it confirmed yet. He confirms that the wish is the reason her behavior has changed later on when they're on a date in the restaurant. He asks her, "Do you love me more than anyone in the world?" The exact phrase that he used when he made the wish. Nikki answers yes. Despite knowing for sure that the wish is what's making her love him, he proceeds to sleep with her that night. By the way, that scene is assault. It is 100% assault. I don't care what you think. However, I do want to know what you guys thought was the exact moment.
Select a character to claim. Oh, you can choose.
Because a lot of people had different opinions
as
to
funny.
when they thought.
You can
Bear
choose
confirmed that the wish was happening. Later on in the movie,
an archer eidolon, but I'm gonna get Gilgamesh because he's new.
He fully realizes it. But do you think that the restaurant is the moment?
Oh, and they give you materials to build him too? Wow, that's nice.
Let me know. From then on, Bear proceeds to do nothing to help her as her behavior.
Oh, there's a trailer
weirder,
for Himeko something.
When that weird behavior
is that a Gundam?
Of other people. His actions remind me of a survey that was taken
Does Himeko have a Gundam?
Of North Dakota and North Dakota State University
what the heck?
In 2015. This survey asked a sample size of 86 students,
is
all male, mostly white, if they would proceed to force a woman to have intercourse with them in a consequence-free situation. A third of the men said yes, they would. Unfortunately,
I'm not going to get his like because I won't be able to get to 100 wishes. But
to do was considered assault,
so that's a shame.
Or the R word. YouTube has become really picky about things we can say. It's just so aggravating. This is how I believe that Bear sees his actions. He doesn't see himself as intentionally causing
Who do you
harm,
mean in HSR?
Makes things worse.
Fine on.
He knows it isn't right.
100% fine on. He's the only character that I have like eidolons on.
Try and help her. He only seems truly concerned when others, mainly his friend Ian,
he's like the only character that I have eidolons on. Let me see.
Often Ian was like,
he's currently at
E4. This isn't right. This isn't good. This
I could not
good.
get
It doesn't feel good. And he actually
2 copies this time,
Nikki's
so
well-being because he kept telling Bear
I just need 2 more reruns.
Up with her. You can't just be in a relationship with her and pretend to be all happy. Like, you actually need to be concerned about her well-being, because Ian knew in his gut that
but hopefully not anytime soon because I'm too busy.
Like herself. So I appreciate Ian.
Oh wait, we got some
looking
wishes,
out
but I'm
for
gonna save
Nikki.
them.
Even at the
I'm not gonna
party,
pull
Ian
until
just
he comes
straight
back.
up
So
asked Nikki, "Hey, are you okay?"
I'm so real for that.
Because at
Yeah,
this point,
he's
it
my
was
favorite. I
too
like him.
big and too scary to
Shailen
even
spends
try
years trying to
to
cure the thing, but
justify
can't.
her
Also, his kingdom fell
actions.
to war.
I've
He
seen a
found a
lot of
church,
people be
and the bad guy
annoyed
captured him
with
and trussed him
Ian
up.
and say that he was a
And
bad
then,
friend
and
for
then the
not telling
4,
Bear
or
that he
sorry,
had
the
been hooking
100
up with Nikki on
million
and off
stabs
and
thing.
stuff like that. But I feel like the really important aspect about Ian and what shows his true character,
Yeah, like if
is how
that's the
concerned
case,
he
right?
is about Nikki, whether or not it's about them sleeping together or
Oh,
all
the
that
plague is
kinds of
called the
stuff.
human
He
face
seems
disease. It's the
genuinely
Black
concerned
Death, but
about
the
her
boils
well-being and wants to make
are
sure that she's
screaming human
okay.
faces. That is
Moving on,
weird and gross.
Nikki, the real Nikki,
I
in
think
the
I
birth
remember
control
that
body,
actually.
not the fake Nikki,
Hearing about
even
that, I mean.
pleads for Bear to kill her and end her suffering. His only response is, "What would be so bad? What's so bad about being with me?" I saw this movie in a theater with a bunch of people, and I swear to God, I heard at least 5 people suck their teeth. Like, like the first time I saw this
Like
movie,
Jesus
the
style, then
people in
told
the
all
row
the
behind me were like,
okay.
"What?"
So, and then told all
And
the
the second
survivors
time
was
I saw
caused
this
by
movie, the boys
unsatisfied,
who
so
were
they
in the row in
stabbed him
front
so
of me
they
were
can
like,
transfer the disease to him instead and save their kids.
and
Ah, yeah. No,
I
that's
just feel like it's such a
definitely
great moment.
like,
There are some
yeah,
movies that
in
you
full
really have to see
context,
with a good
immediately my
audience. This
thought.
is
And
one of
even
those
without
movies.
context, I
But
was
in
like,
that
I mean, that
moment,
sounds like
after
a
Bear
rape
says
scene.
that, Nikki
But yeah.
responds to him by saying, "I've never been with you, Bear," which is the truth. Again,
Then all the
another
survivors took turns
confirmation
stabbing
that
him and
the
they all
true
died anyway.
Nikki is not the
Yeah.
one who is in control,
That's so
and
sad.
Bear doesn't do anything. As I said
That's
before,
dark.
I saw this movie twice, and while
But
I'm sure my cortisol levels
I
were
read
over
dark
9,000
things, so I'm
after
kind
my
of like,
first time
yeah.
seeing this movie, the second time I watched it, I literally was just sitting throughout the
And then he
entire movie completely disgusted.
Okay,
with how
burying him in a
pathetic
coffin, that's pretty
Bear
horrible.
is. He's such a passive person, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think it's the perfect way to write his character, because in the moments where he has a choice, he doesn't make one, and it inherently makes things worse. Even though Bear started from an anxious place, worried
Like,
about
let me tell you
rejection, his
about,
true colors
sorry,
showed when he
Mock, if you're not into BL, actually, I'll let this play so that you don't have to hear it. Or whatever. Shailan literally had his mercy and love for humanity stabbed out. He got better later because power of
knew
gay.
that he had hurt
Yeah,
the
he
woman
learned to
whom he
enjoy
loved,
being stabbed in a
and
different
he
way.
didn't care. Even his
But
attempts
anyway,
to end his own life are out of fear
so
of living with a
I'm
deranged
recently
Nikki
reading,
rather
not
than
really
trying
reading
to
it to be
help her.
honest. I was just
Bear
kind
is
of
truly
curious
a
at
coward
first,
all
but
the way until the
it
end,
turns
unable to
out that the
kill
main
himself,
pairing
even
is
though that would
another
be the
pairing and I
only
don't care
way
about
to
them.
set her
But
free.
anyway,
So, why are women taking their male
MC
partners to see Obsession?
is one
It's
of the
obvious.
sons
To
of
see if they
like
get
a
the point.
consort or something like
Relationship
that.
tests aren't new. I'm sure there
And
are older examples, but I for sure know
his
that they've
older
been a thing
brother,
since the early 2010s, when
his
people
older
were
brother,
testing their partners in weird ways
in
on
order
YouTube
to
couple channels.
secure
If you
his
know about Jamie
position
vlogs,
as a successor,
I'm
killed his
sorry,
entire
they're not
family.
that bad. I just
But he
personally
kept
find them
him,
completely
and to
insufferable,
humiliate
and
him,
they pull
he
weird pranks, like
obviously
pretending you're going to the military.
quote unquote stabbed him, and
What is
then
that?
had all of the
I feel like
servants
King
come
Drew
in
Gooden has a
and
video
stab him.
about that
And
prank,
they
and
had
he talks
and they
about
didn't
it.
want to at
You
first
should
because
watch
like
that
they
instead of
used
the
to serve
actual
him and they
video
have
if you want
respect.
to learn
But
about it.
then
Anyway,
they
TikTok
stabbed
has made
him
everybody's
because obviously their
opinions more
lives were threatened.
accessible, and since everybody is
And so
projecting their
he
own
was
standards
stabbed
for
by
their
the
own
entire
individual
household.
relationships
And
onto
then
everybody else's relationships,
yeah.
it's just a loud bundle of
So
noise.
that's why to
Everybody
me
has
what
high
you
expectations as
described
to what
is
their
like,
relationship should look
yeah,
like,
that sounds
even
like the
though a
same thing,
relationship
just
is truly
metaphorical.
just a connection between two individual people in their own unique way. But
We
I'm not
love
here
some
to talk
BL.
about
I'm
that.
enjoying the
I talk
analysis.
about
Okay,
movies.
there you go.
Obsession is not the
It's
first
not really
movie to be
analysis, more
part
like
of a
amazing
bland
summary.
test of relationships. I first noticed it during the Barbenheimer craze.
Yeah, I just
Barbie
give summaries.
2023 What?
I'll
Barbie
analyze
2023
it
is a
sometimes.
film by
The
Greta
series I
Gerwig in
analyze the
which
most is
Barbie.
Master and Saturdays because I
I'm
love
just gonna
that
read the
series so
sentence
much,
because
and I have so
I
much to
can't
say
keep
about the
messing up.
characters. And
Barbie 2023 was a
but
film by
yeah,
Greta
like
Gerwig that took the iconography
most of the
Barbie
time,
and
I just
brought her
have
to
really
our
silly.
world, where she learned what being a
Like I
woman
just
should
like to
mean
share
in
what
a
I'm reading
society
because
that
someone else
functions
should
under
know.
the patriarchy.
And he was
I was
no,
genuinely impressed
in
about
his
reading
case
it.
not
Now, I
quite,
do have
but
another video
so like
on why I
there
don't
is
think
there
Barbie is a
is
true
a
feminist
butcher
film. You can
that
check
he
that
meets
video
when
out. I will
he's
put it
like
in my description
exiled,
box
I guess.
below.
Um
However, I did describe
and
the movie as a feminism 101 class. When this
you
is
know,
over, you can go
he
check out
falls
my
for him.
video,
They
and
don't do anything.
before you
And then
go,
he
leave
gets
a like on this video,
kidnapped by
as
his
I
brother
feel like it's pretty
again.
cool so
And
far.
his brother
During
is
the
like,
time of release, I
okay,
noticed online that a lot of women were taking their
I'm gonna
boyfriends,
truly torture you
husbands,
by
and
showing
so
you
on
that
such
even this
and forth
butcher
and
isn't on
whatever
your side.
to the movies.
And
I'm not redoing that clip.
you know,
A lot of women
if I
stated
tell
that they
him
got into
to,
heated
he'll give in
discussions
and he'll
with
stab you too. But he
ooh, I
doesn't.
can't speak
He
English.
doesn't.
A
And
lot of women
so
stated that
the
they got
brother gets
into
bored,
heated
and then he like
discussions
throws
with
them
their
both
male
back out into
partners about the
exile.
topic of
And
this
then,
movie.
you know,
They were hoping
end
that
of season
because the
one
movie made it
is
so obvious
they
that these
finally
men would
confess
open
to
their
each
eyes and
other.
finally start
But
to care about what
and the
women
butcher
go
is like,
through
okay,
in
let's run away
society.
together,
But
right?
a lot of them
But
didn't. There were
the
even women who
MC is
broke up
like,
with their partners
I
over
have to
this
carry
film.
out
Now I hear
my
you.
revenge first. He
That's
killed my
stupid.
mom.
You gonna let a movie
And that's the
decide
end of season
whether
one.
you
I
your
assume season
boyfriend?
two,
Well,
like
yes.
he'll
That's why I called this
things
a
will turn
litmus
around.
test. It's a
He'll
test
like
of character.
take
Art
back
does not
control and
exist in a
power.
vacuum. What people take
But yeah,
away
that's where
from the
we're
film
kind
is
of at.
just as
And
important as the reason why the film was created in the first place. If somebody
800
watched a
years of
film about
edging, more like 800
kidnapping
years of
and came
trauma, and
out
then
of the
finding
movie on the
love.
side of the
Yeah,
kidnapper,
that's
you
yeah.
would
Edging
look
is
at
a
him a
different.
little
Do people
weird,
not know what
right?
edging is?
It's the same thing here. Women's role in society is a very nuanced topic. There are so many ways to approach it, and it's
Like,
very
edging
disappointing when you
shouldn't
find
be
out that somebody who has claimed to
torture.
love and care for you doesn't even see you as a person,
And
but
I'm
more
gonna
so
stab
an
them all
accessory
back.
to their life
Yeah.
and goals. These two films give very
Um.
different approaches, with Obsession
But yeah,
being more
very.
specific with the theme of women's autonomy. I will note that there are other reasons many men may have missed the point in the Barbie movie. The Barbie movie was
I'll have to pick this
presented
one
in
up.
a
It sounds really
very,
good.
very
It's
palatable
called
way. It
Facing
was
Each
a
Other. If
comedy
you're
and
interested in it, it's
adventure
called
story
Facing
with
Each
little
Other.
bits of emotional moments woven in between them to get the point across without being too heavy-handed with it. And I can
I
admire the
think.
effort. It was meant to
Hopefully, I'm not
entertain,
giving you
and
the title to like some
it
other
was meant to
random
entertain,
BL.
and it succeeded at that. I feel that when it came to messaging,
It took
it might have
800
fallen
years for
short
Ha Chang
because
to
Ken was
reunite
made
with
the
his
star of the
god.
show at some
Oh,
point in the film. It
but
even showed how it
that's
translated
800
into
years
real
of
life
yearning.
because the
There's a
items and
difference
items
between
in merch
edging and
stores
yearning.
were selling out faster
You
than
know,
anything
800 years
else.
of yearning.
And at the
Sure, that makes
Oscars,
sense.
the only award that this movie won was for the original song "I'm Just Ken," and even Ryan Gosling thought that was a weird choice. Also, the patriarchy lives deep in each and every person who grows up within it, and it shows in the smallest of ways. A
Still
lot of
working
men
hard
found
to catch up. She
themselves
has positive
uninterested in the
attitude. I'm
movie
sure
in the
she'll get
first
there.
place because
I should not
it's
say in
for
no time
girls.
soon.
A lot of men who went to see the movie were distracted by how useless the Kens were. Many even got angry with how the patriarchy was portrayed in the movie, even though honestly it is that ridiculous. And some just hated the fact that the movie was pink for like 2/3 of it, so they stopped paying attention. On the other hand, Obsession, being a horror movie, aimed to make the audience uncomfortable. It grabbed you and forced you to hang on to every single word and moment. During my first viewing experience, I was glued to my seat and frozen in fear the entire time. People loved this movie and they dissected it. Every single detail, even details that the director had to come back and tell us, hey,
this
that
is what I tell
actually
myself.
didn't mean
I'm not sure about
anything.
this.
So what is the film litmus test and how
Her
do you
overall
pass
behavior
it?
in
The film
class,
litmus test
however,
is a test
is
of emotional
wonderful.
oh wow.
She
oh wow. The film litmus
gets
test is a test
distracted at
of
times, but she is not
That's
disruptive,
it. I'm quitting. I'm done being a YouTuber.
and she is.
I want to speak. The film litmus test is a test of emotional intelligence and media literacy.
He canonically made so much erotic fan art of Shell. Oh wow, he made a cave.
Thoughts.
Oh, doesn't he have? I heard that
shouldn't
he
have to
has
say
a
that.
sword that detects if
But
you're
you
a
won't
virgin.
believe how
That's
many
a
people don't do
crazy,
that. Second,
crazy
being
power.
able to see multiple perspectives, even ones you don't understand.
Made a
at
cave and
first,
filled
is
it with 100.
extremely
Wow.
important for everyday life.
Okay.
Sympathy and empathy
Yearning,
are necessary for
taken to an
survival in a
extreme.
heavy socialized society such as ours.
You got
Get
the
rid of
apology
it's
Zane
not that
5-star.
deep mentality,
Is that a 5-star?
lacks
I
emotional
got it, but I
intelligence.
didn't
Do
remember
I think that this
that
litmus
it was a
test is
5-star.
good thing? Honestly, yes. I don't think it's healthy to constantly test your partner. However,
I only
art
logged
can
in to
bond
get it
people
too, to be
together
honest.
more closely,
I don't even do
or at
anything in
least
Love and Deep
reveal
Space right
things
now
that
because
make
it's
you
just
question.
eh.
And this isn't just about
He had a
romantic
sword that's made from his
relationships. Art can
eyeball.
make you question
I don't know if it can
life,
tell
the
you're a virgin.
society
Oh,
that you
okay,
grew
okay.
up in, mentalities and mindsets that are starting to become outdated and have evolved over time. I feel like Encanto also counts in this litmus test because a lot of people were like, oh, did you like or hate the grandma? That's a very nuanced topic. I'm not really going to give my opinion on that. But overall, I feel that she is not justified, but that her perspective is understandable. People do this all the time. They ask their friends what characters they like in certain shows and movies. They show media to other people who they think need certain perspectives in their lives. Asking people you meet who they kin and seeing what they respond with. And it can either tell you, hey, we could be friends, or I might want to stay away from you. Also, kin is like such a nerdy word. It's just a term I don't see a lot of people use anymore. Media can reveal the true nature of those around you, so it's not inherently good or bad that something like this exists. At the end of the day, do what you want. Break up. Don't break up. Noodles. Anyway, that's the end of my little rant here today. Let me know what you guys thought about Obsession. This is the
let's see. Waiting patiently for Raphael's next myth. Oh. Are you a Raphael main? Wow, another Love and Deep Space player. That's nice. Okay, 55 minutes is a little too long. You know, it's a good thing, I think, that Alex Myers took down his video, because if I sat down and looked at that, I think that would also be a very long video. Nice guys have lost it. I liked this video by Malkin Hat. It's called "A Time and Space for the Sunk Cost Fallacy," and it's basically about how players who like hate on games just need to take a break, and that is true. So I filed. Oh, Josh Johnson has a new video. So I filed a Oh yeah, it's the parasite thingy. Okay, actually, yeah. So I filed a counter against one of my videos that got copyright claimed, and I kind of did it just because, like, the advice I'd been seeing from people was like, just do it, it'll be fine. Like, honestly, most of the time, like, if you counter, they will just let it go. And I do kind of want to keep that video up because I thought it was like, one, I put some effort into actually editing it and finding pictures and posting, and I just enjoyed that video. So hopefully I didn't like upset anybody, because it could bite me back in the ass. But I'm gonna take that risk. It was a reaction to a teaser trailer, so I'm kind of like, well, like, it's a trailer. I thought that it would be all right because it's out kind of in public, intended to be spread, you know? So hopefully. Waiting to see how the game recovers from yeah, I think we're all waiting to see what they'll do next. And I think that's why I'm not really playing. An Opa enjoyer. Yes, it seems like we have another one, which is nice. A husbando enjoyer who hopefully isn't too critical of, like, women in games. Wanting to see how the game recovers. Raphael and Caleb. Oh my gosh, Caleb. Caleb's storyline is crazy, but I enjoy. I do enjoy it. Caleb is one of the characters whose cards I'll get, even though he's not my main. To be fair, like, it's him and sometimes Silas. Because I'm hoping for something a little crazy. Because my main is Zane, and I really love his cards. I'm waiting to see when GTA 6 gets delayed again. Oh, is it still being delayed? Wait, I feel like you guys have been making the joke about it being delayed for years already. It's still delayed? Wow.
Bad. It's bad. It's bad in a way that I didn't see coming. I knew it would be bad, right? It's a lot like when you're about to have a car accident. If anyone here has been in a car accident,
We love to see how the brotherly love develops. Oh, God.
When you lose control of the car, or when you see the other car coming, there's that moment where you're like, what is about to happen isn't going to be good.
You're convinced there is no actual game? Maybe, yeah.
But let's see what type of bad
yeah,
it is. Will I survive?
Caleb is fascinating.
Idea.
I think it's also just fun to watch the MC in Caleb's, like, storylines, because MC is obviously different with each boy, right? You like them all. Definitely have a Xavier soft spot. Aw, if they drop Falco, Caleb might get bumped to third.
You know, as far as media goes, I
really hope they drop Falco. A lot of people were really looking forward to him, and I've heard a lot of people, even Maz, who puts out like the psychological analytical videos of the boys.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes we'll give it a shot.
Even
but we
she
never
said
do it
that,
at, like
like,
the right time. Like,
she
there's
was
fires,
ready
right? There's
to
fires,
drop
there's
Zayn for
wildfires and
Valco.
everything.
And I was like, oh my
And it
God.
would be a good time to be like, I can't believe.
But I also can't imagine
Canada
dropping
over
Zayn.
here burned, then we get their air, and then they poison us our smoke. That would be great timing if there also wasn't a fire in Michigan right now. Like the way that you would try.
Okay, this student, this Momo.
The timing couldn't have been worse if the fire
improved.
was behind you. The fact that you're like, you see these
Quite a bit
Canadian
over the
fires is
past
what's
3
polluting our
months.
air and everything. Why is my back so hot?
Because you're loyal as hell. I really am. It's I have tunnel
Everything
vision and
feels upside
hyperfixation.
down. And not just in not just in a sense of decorum or anything. Everything feels upside down because what you should do, the things that you're taught to do. And I'm only speaking right now as a citizen in the United States, so I don't know if you
How has
see
he
it this
improved?
way, but I'm there
Okay, his
almost all
reading
the time,
comprehension
and things are so
skills
backwards
have
that
gotten
now
better.
the
He puts
produce
effort
is
into
gonna
his
kill us.
writing to include a few more details.
It's never a
With
recall
each-
on the candy. The candy.
That I'm glad to see him trying himself, and I hope his eye is doing
There's
better
never a
these days.
recall on like the double blasted gushers. There's never a recall on the ultimate
He has
choco
also
tacos.
been
Like
a good
no,
helper
no. This is the
in
produce
the
right now
classroom
that is
whenever
tearing
his
us up.
name is picked.
It's
still
bad.
doesn't
It's so bad that the
Volunteer
news.
answers
The
very
news.
much,
You know the news
but he
where you
does
get your
answer
news.
when called on.
The news came
Keep
out and
up
said,
the good
"Hey,
work."
everybody
Okay.
over here eating well.
10. Okay, next one.
Everybody here eating right, eating your fruits and vegetables. Watch out because there's a parasite and it gives you, and I quote, explosive diarrhea."
Did you like the 5-star Zane freebie? I just got it yesterday, and I didn't even realize it was a 5-star. I got it because it was Zane. I hadn't even
They
been
didn't say
logging in
upset stomach.
regularly, but I was like, I will log in because of Zane.
They didn't say bowel
And
issues.
so I did get
They
him, but
went straight
I'm
to
not.
top of the
I haven't
list.
even done it.
Number one.
We did do the Pride and Prejudice
even
card,
do
and it
the
was
thing
one of the
that our
few
drug
cards that I
commercials do
did in
at the end where
English.
they're like,
Yes, I was
They
getting married to
said-
Artem. That was priority.
loud and proud, explosive
But I
diarrhea.
did get it, and I will
say they,
eventually
I
do it
actually mean
somewhere.
all
I don't
of
know.
them.
I have a
All
bunch of
them.
Zane
All
cards I
of them
haven't
said
done,
it.
but we did do
Fox
the Pride and
News,
Prejudice
ABC,
one.
CBS,
That one was
everybody said it.
cute.
One Nation News,
Did it in
like,
English,
like,
'cause usually I don't play the
America
game in
Now,
English,
like,
so.
everybody said it. Explosive diarrhea. They all said it. The same
Okay,
people who
back to
can't
this Momo.
agree on the results of the 2020 election. All
Okay, Momo's
said
reading comprehension
explosive diarrhea.
has
Do you know how
improved
bad
a lot.
it must be? Do you know how bad it must be
He
for
is able
everyone
to identify
bipartisan, explosive?
Cause and effect
I didn't think this would be what brought us together. I really didn't.
No.
I thought
with only a little distance these
that's
days.
just how serious this
He
is.
is
It doesn't matter
also
where you
able
are
to
in like the
identify
spectrum or the constellation of political opinion. It
character
doesn't matter if you're progressive, or
settings on his
conservative, or
own.
liberal, or alt-right. You might
He is
even
less
be a Nazi.
disruptive
Everybody's
in
like,
class
that's
than
explosive
before, and
diarrhea.
his focus has improved. I'm glad to see him doing so well. Keep up the good
Do
work.
you know how many doctors must have said it for the news? To be like, we gotta start
The student is on break, so I'm not going to do that.
the list with the most important thing.
That one was anachronistic as heck, but outfits are cool. That one was like, yeah, I mean,
It's bad enough. It's bad enough.
Like, to
that
be
when
fair,
you
the
live in
writers
US
aren't,
and you
like-
try to,
not writers.
learn or whatever.
like, I don't know about the writers, but I mean the translators, sorry. Like, the
Then you go into
translators
debt for the rest
are
of your life.
probably
Like, that's
not
what-
used
that's
to
already
period,
bad. If
like,
you're like,
fiction.
Hey, I think I want to be
So,
a doctor. It's like, okay, would you also like to be poor? Like,
I will
that's
accept
that's a
that that
crazy
was
question
probably
to
hard for
ask
them,
your,
But,
citizens.
yeah, there were,
And
as a
learning was already
period,
hard.
like-
and housing. Whew,
I
housing.
don't even want to say period romance, because
They
is it period
basically
romance
come
if it's
out
like
with,
written
like,
during
hey,
that
you never
period?
gonna own a
You know what I
home.
mean?
That's
Like,
not
for
gonna
them,
happen. All right, not
for
while we're
them,
around.
it was contemporary, right? But anyway, like and try to like understand more about that time period. I noticed like too many things that were off, right?
No, but you at least
But
used to have
but I
a
did think that
choice.
it was pretty well done.
They didn't make the choice easy. Don't get me wrong. They're putting McDonald's and every type of fast food restaurant, school boards around the country are making backdoor deals with fast food chains to like put a McDonald's in the school. And then they have the nerve to be like, well, look, the kids have choices. They can choose something healthy. And it's like, no, you sold them out. You did. Like, the kids didn't send a letter to McDonald's. McDonald's came to you, and you were like, break us off a little bit, yeah. You can streamline it right to their young veins. But you used to have kind of a choice.
It's normal.
Eat healthy, eat what you want, eat certain things that are quote unquote bad for you in moderation.
And
now,
adapted quite
if you even try,
he is very friendly with the other students, and though his focus is not always there,
if you even try to touch like
he does make an effort
a kumquat
to complete his bookwork. I would like him.
If you even dare put your hands on a plantain, if you think you're gonna be safe with an apple.
Outside of gotchas, do you collect anything like blind boxes or trinkets? Yeah, it depends on the thing. It's usually related to a fandom.
And just,
currently, like
that's the thing.
I collect like
the attitude is like, just do the
plastic,
best you can,
like
deal with
acrylic,
it,
acrylic standees.
That's insane.
For like anime stuff that I like. I also like when they were doing the bracelets for K-pop, like SM artist birthdays. I used to, not bracelets, but the jewelry item that they dropped every year. I would collect those, so I have a bunch of those and I never wear them.
Taco Bell.
Obviously albums. I collect books. I say collect because I don't always read them. Or I don't always read them all the way through.
Was the one that stepped up and said, hey, look,
but yeah,
hey,
currently my collection is Currently, my collection is
no, because I know how y'all talk about us.
Pixels. So yeah. Do you collect things? Senpai collects Gundams. I have 3 Gundams, but I did not collect
I know what y'all
Gundams.
Do.
Yeah, you guys collect Gundams. So Beck recently got obsessed with Gundams and was building them day and night.
And so
it was quite impressive.
Of caution.
You're falling asleep and the game won't let you marry Vin yet. Going to bed soon. I'm so sorry you can't marry Vin yet.
We won't be serving tomato.
Or am I? I hope Penn gets Vin soon. Because I know Penn has been trying to get him and he hasn't come home yet.
No.
Had to slow down because you ran out of room for the gun.
You're not slick, okay? No, I've never heard of cilantro at Taco, but no. What are you talking about right now? No, you try to make yourself sound better than you are. I've never been to Taco Bell and heard someone say, hold the cilantro. I know how y'all do. Y'all love to pour the cilantro on. No, I like my taco without the taste of dish soap. No, thank you. No, you didn't. I read it twice. I was like, the only way to get cilantro on your Taco Bell is drop it on the floor and cilantro was on the floor. That's the only time that there's been cilantro on Taco Bell. That's crazy that you were like,
it's glorious. It's heavy arms. You have heavy arms.
In a particularly
your favorite
time
Gundam.
In my life, I had a lot of Taco Bell, and I can assure you that there was no.
You finally got the
cilantro
W Heavy Arms custom from Bandai after ordering it. Oh, that's so cool. Been collecting
like
Stray Kids albums.
And then the insurance company asks what got stolen.
Lots of blind
like,
boxes for backpack charms too.
Right
yeah. Oh my gosh, not charms, but I like put 2 pins on a backpack that I was using, and I'm so sad I lost one of them. I don't even know where I lost it because it was definitely on like the bus with me, but then like it was not in my house when I got home and put it down. And it's my backpack, right? So it's not like I was looking at like the back.
A company
4 Gatling guns. It's hilarious. I love it. Heavy Arms is so
food
funny.
At Taco Bell, I have not been to the Taco Bell here, but I've been to many Taco Bells.
I
in the
also
States,
collect
and
anime,
if it is
I
anything
suppose,
like the
because
Taco
like
Bell
every
in the
month we
States,
watch
the
anime
menu does not
on Discord
exist in
for
any
anime
other
night. I say
language
we,
except
it's me and
Taco
usually
Bell.
one other person, but
The menu, the words on the menu were made up by Taco
and they
Bell.
sometimes
This
can't
is
make
not
it.
Mexican food
But
at
like
all.
last
You
season, there were
cannot, if
30
you
on the
went to
list, which was
Mexico
I realized
and
too
tried to
much. So
order a
this
double
season we have
chupa-lupa
20, and
crunch
it's
wrap,
been surprisingly easy to keep up. I just needed to drop 10. Like to collect
they would
firearms.
look
If
at
I,
you like
yeah, I
you
don't
had
collect
lost
firearms.
your mind. That's not even Spanish.
Okay, Momo
I find Taco Bell's
is a
menu
bright
disgusting,
and
all right?
hardworking
Because they
student.
could have just had,
She is
the same
positive
food. They could have been like, oh, Taco Bell,
and helpful
you know,
to
we'll have
her
the
class.
same stuff that you would get at a Mexican restaurant. But they said no.
She always raises her hand
No,
to
not in these
volunteer
United
answers,
States.
and when she is not correct,
I don't even know how you get the menu at Taco
takes
Bell.
it on the chin,
Like, I
and
think the only
it
way
doesn't
you get
stop
there
her
is if you
from
ask
trying
a
again.
racist person what people eat in Mexico,
I'm
and they just
proud
started
to
talking.
see how
That's
much
the only way you
her
can get the Balupa
reading
Lupa Crunch wrap.
comprehension and writing have improved so far.
The
She is
Cholula
able
Luba
to
Double
identify
Conchita
cause and
menu
effect
doesn't make any
details,
sense
and she
at all. And then a Baja Blast. That color doesn't even
wait, no,
exist
her
in
writing is still
nature.
pretty bad.
A Baja Blast.
Reading comprehension.
I'm not even kidding. One time I was with my
Cause
friends.
and effect detail.
We went
However,
to Taco
she
Bell,
still
and one of my
needs
friends
to
got
work
that
on
big
her
cup.
writing.
I don't even know
I
if y'all care about your
recommend
citizens or whatever, so you
reviews
might not even serve it here. But
the in-class
that big cup, the one with all the ounces, the one with a gallon of ounces in it, that big old cup that's sturdier than the other cups because it's got to hold more liquid than any of the other cups hold. It's one of those cups that's specifically made so that when you walk out with the cup, everyone can identify who's about to have diabetes, right? That cup. He got a full Baja Blast of that cup and drank the whole thing, which I didn't even know was humanly possible. I was like, your blood type is Baja Blast now. I can't believe you drank all that. And then, not even kidding, then an hour later,
What does the Baja mean
with
again?
our other friend about Kierkegaard with a fully blue mouth. And I was like, no.
Okay.
Your mouth is blue. You lose. Your mouth is blue. Your whole mouth is blue. The whole mouth blue. Lips blue, teeth blue, tongue blue. And not just blue, a color of blue that doesn't exist anywhere but the Baja Blast. So everybody knows what it is. Look like you bit a Smurf in the face. Trying to argue about philosophy and economics and stuff. No, if someone ran in here right now with information that would save our lives but had a fully blue mouth, nobody would get up, nobody would listen. Your mouth blue, sir. Actually, I'm not even gonna call you sir. Your mouth blue, boy. That company that makes blue mouths, Taco Bell, in an abundance of caution, was like, hey, look. We don't know the source of the Psychosporora. No, they're over here out of their minds. You gotta be out of your mind. But they were like, you know what? We're gonna step up.
Right now, you just collect Gundams. Didn't like compared to the original Mountain Dew, the drink of the gods. You know, I used to like Mountain Dew, like before the whole I can't drink like whatever drinks anymore. I tried it recently though, and I don't like it anymore.
The government
I
did
think.
that thing like when you're out drinking with your
Dr.
friends,
Pepper though,
and then
I
one of your
still
friends
enjoy
drinks
Dr.
too
Pepper.
much, and you know the other friend, no help. He's just like, ooh, you don't look good. Doesn't try to hold the hair back. Doesn't try to do anything. Just wow, yeah, you look like you might die. I don't know. Taco Bell stepped up, and they were like, you know what? We don't know if it's our supply. We don't know who it could be. So you know what? We're not gonna serve it anymore because also Taco Bell knew their clientele. That's also what happened. Taco Bell knew that if you rolled up into Taco Bell and you ordered the double wubba crunch wrap, and they were like, actually, we're out of lettuce, that not a single Taco Bell customer would be like, no lettuce?
to doing the same thing again 2 minutes. Okay. That said,
No, that's why I come to Taco Bell for the lettuce.
up before eating.
How am I supposed to get my greens if Taco Bell doesn't have any lettuce?
Writing will be improved with more
No,
reviews
they knew that their customers wouldn't even notice
class writing,
that there was no lettuce between the cheese and the mystery meat.
especially
And so then they
with
pulled it.
before months.
And then the government does finally say something. They come out and like, you know what, y'all? We've heard your cries. We've heard you from the bathrooms.
Ooh, Dr. Pepper. You don't like Dr.
We've heard
Pepper? Is it too spicy for you, Kathy?
For action, and we will act.
Is Dr. Pepper too spicy for you?
We're gonna look into it. First place we're gonna look is Taco Bell. What sense does that make? These are the people that were like, hey, in an abundance of caution, we're gonna stop even serving the thing. Then you must have done it. How is that possible? Taco Bell doesn't have a farm. There is not a farm where
Imagine
they
a
make
Taco Bell farm.
tomatoes. And
Imagine if
Dorito
Taco
Crunch
Bell
Wraps.
farms just grew
They have a
tacos.
supplier. So if you want to investigate somebody, investigate who supplies them. You're investigating Taco Bell for some reason. All right. It's a weird move. That's like in one of those crime documentaries when somebody finds a body and calls the police, and then the police are like,
usually has the correct
maybe you
answer
murdered them.
to all questions. However, he needs to refrain.
I mean, you found the body. How convenient.
In order to give other students a chance.
Okay. And they even said, hey, we believe, it's still not fully confirmed as of this moment, but we believe that we've tracked one of the sources of the
conflict with other students because
to this supplier for Taco Bell, this farm right here, is them, we think, maybe.
criticism, so I have
But still don't eat any greens until further notice.
Take a more positive
The only issue is you also said it was in the berries. So what berries is Taco Bell selling?
Good results in the future.
I'm sure when this bacteria was announced and people said it was in the berries, that Taco Bell's like, we in the clear.
However, he completes it all.
Our stuff is only named after berries. There is not a single berry in sight. You got all this stuff happening. And look, I genuinely love coming here. And the rumors are true, the stereotype is true and everything. Y'all are very polite. Y'all are incredibly polite. So everything, I mean, it's all the stuff that people said it was, it is, and y'all are very polite. Truly. Yeah. See, even there. Yeah. You're very polite, but you're not nice. I hope he takes the time to slow down. No. Make sure you're not nice. No. Look, if you bump into somebody and they drop something, you'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'll give you that. But nice, no. No, because you see us come over. You see citizens of the United States come over.
1, 2, 3, 4,
and we're
5,
struggling,
6,
and y'all do a thing that's not, y'all look at us, and y'all are like.
Did I do that one already? I think I did. Okay. I think we have 2 more. Hi, Pen. How are you?
That's not nice.
Did you manage to get Vin yet?
In fact,
or
is it still a
challenge?
I'm gonna read it to you right now, just so look.
I still need to run through the event, like speed run through everybody else.
I make sure I quote them correctly, all right? Because this was crazy. I couldn't believe this when I saw this. This is wild. Okay, so you know all this stuff going on at Taco Bell, right? Well, then Taco Bell, okay? Taco Bell, Canada. Taco Bell Canada went ahead and posted online, we want you to hear it from us. We take your health and safety seriously. We've seen your comments and want to assure you that none of the affected lettuce made its way into our Canadian restaurants. So go ahead and satisfy that craving. See you soon. This is wild and unacceptable behavior.
One more. And then we're going to go back to the...
supposed to be Taco Bell. What happened to the Taco Bell family unit? What happened to that? That's crazy that Taco Bell Canada is like, oh, we're not that Taco Bell, though. That's crazy. That's why y'all supposed to be in this together. Yeah, how bad your Taco Bell got to be for another Taco Bell to be like, oh, we're not dirty, though. Because they typed it. No, it's all the punctuation is correct and everything, but they did the thing that y'all do. It's polite. It's polite. It looks like a little letter and everything. It's not nice. That's not nice at all. It didn't make it into our Canadian restaurant. Why would you say it like that? That's insane. I can't believe y'all. It's Taco Bell. I mean, this is probably gonna do some irreparable damage. They were out here expanding. Not just in the number of restaurants, they were even expanding concepts. They had it where you could get married at a Taco Bell Cantina Chapel.
Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
My buddy took a first date to Taco Bell and she was mad. I can't imagine.
You're going to Canada for Taco Bell? We have Taco Bell here, in like one place, and
because that's what ended up
I
happening.
freaking love Taco Bell, man. I feel like I
we don't
didn't
really have
even know that
the
I liked Taco
same
Bell until I came to Korea.
safeguards that we used to have because they thought people would forget, but Doge came in and they did a bunch of cuts, and the cuts didn't just affect the United States, it actually affected the entire world because they made cuts and they cut ties to parts of WHO, and they've lost funding at the CDC and everything, and so we're in a very bad way. And I don't know if you happen to have
now
watched
let's check the
any
report
of the
cards.
depositions from some of the young people at Doge, but they are
that need
incredible to
correcting.
watch. They're phenomenal to watch because it's always like a 20 or 22-year-old that they have sat down that just gets real honest in the moment. Under oath, they're like, look.
Let's start from the
I
bottom.
just hit
this time.
backspace a bunch of times, all right? I had no idea that was the water supply. That's my bad. They were trying to make cuts, and so they gave me a marker. I'd start marking stuff red. I didn't know.
Oh my goodness.
That's why we are where we are. And now our first and last line of defense against the psychospora is our head of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr., which, yeah, we might die, yeah. I mean, RFK Jr., that man, the man that stands there and just every time there's an ailment out and he comments on it, I'm like, he got it. Like, I don't. That's why he doesn't seem concerned, because he already has it. He living with it. That's why he's never alarmed. Nothing's ever a big deal. He'll get in front of the nation and be like, it's okay if your throat melts. It's like. Phenomenal, fantastic. He doesn't seem healthy, and so it's like, at best,
You're
we will
grinding
make it up
artifacts for
like,
Chiori.
be where you are.
Finally got her crit too. Wow, that is insane.
Like, there's just so many
Like,
things.
crit
You know
value.
what it is? I think that RFK Jr. as the head of Health and Human Services would
Is she your
still
main?
be a terrible idea, but people would feel less bad about it if he hadn't told us so much. he told us too much about his health, and that's why we're like, uh-oh, that's not the health I want. Because if he had just been like, hey, I've got some ideas on how to make the country healthier, we would be like, all right, you have a lot of ideas that are insane. But it's on the personal side, it's the fact that he told us he had a brain worm. You know what's crazy? I've never met anyone that had a brain worm. And that's for one or two reasons. Either he's the only person that's ever had a brain worm, or even people who had a worm eat their brain still had enough sense not to tell anybody that they had a brain worm.
Oh, where's the comment for this one?
And why'd you have a brain worm, sir? Why'd you have a brain worm? Is it because you've been eating carcass for half your life? Is it because you see roadkill and go, oh, yum? That's crazy. That is wild that this man will just be driving, and what we see as terrible tragedies, he sees as plates. Because this is what a nation in decline looks like. You know, when you can't trust the vegetables. Probably a fantastic time to be a kid.
This is Cappy. Main between Shuri and Yanfei. Yanfei! Oh, that's a rarity. Risley.
No,
oh my gosh.
That's probably great. You know, you look at your plate, you look down, and it's all dinosaur chicken nuggets. So you're like, oh, okay. Look like mom finally
Risley's
got
one of the
program.
characters I like that I don't have. I don't know when I'll be able to get him.
Looks like she gets it now.
Oh, there's the comment.
Understands. Nobody wants peas. Because that's the thing. What do you do? What do you do if you get it? Because now everybody thinks they got it. Now no single United States citizen can discern whether they have the psycho-spadoo-badoo IBS or a regular stomach ache. If you think guns are a problem in the United States, we've left guns behind for a week, and it's just been farts. Every fart, you can see it in people's eyes. They might as well have a gun. A gun would actually put you at ease. If somebody walked in with a gun and just started waving it, you'd be like, all right, at least I know his stomach right. Nobody's doing a shooting when they're tooting, all right?
I always knew veggies are evil. Oh
This is a
my gosh.
terrible thing. When I tell
Shuri's
you
level
that there are
95.
people,
Oh
I've been watching
wow, you
people
used
genuinely panic. Because
you
I
used
know
it
a
on
lot of, like,
Shuri.
health
Nice.
nuts,
Can you
too.
speak
I know a
more
lot of people who are
D6?
really into
Is
that.
is Jean the one that comes home the most often for you?
Healthy, holistic, vegan lifestyle, and they don't know what to do right now. Literally the entire list of what they're supposed to eat is everything that the government is like, you can try if you want. And it's a good way to get out of stuff. It is. If you at work and you want to go home, just be like, ooh. All you have to do is give people the eyes. They'll know. Give the people the eyes. Your boss asking you to stay late. You're like, I would, but, I should laugh, but there was, okay. I don't know if this guy had it or not, but I was at a meeting. I was in this office building, and this one dude ran, okay. You're going to judge me, but all right. This one dude ran to the bathroom. Like, I was in the hallway going to the elevators to leave the building, and the bathroom was like, near where the elevators were. I saw this one dude run to the elevator, and instead of like a bathroom with stalls and all like that, it was like a single person bathroom. So he runs up and he tries to pull the handle, and the handle doesn't jiggle, and he just goes, "No!"
Oh my gosh. I would cry.
I've never hit an elevator button so fast. Yeah. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Because I try to be healthy. I try to give it a shot. Eat some of what I'm supposed to eat. Eat the green stuff, the red. They say eat the rainbows. So I try, blueberries, raspberry, blackberries, and stuff like that. And I didn't know. This story escaped me for a bit, I'll admit. I usually am reading the news all the time and watching the news all the time. But for whatever reason, this one
C8 or
got past
C9.
me. I found out about it like a few days
Yeah,
late.
she's
So
really
it
like
had already been
a lifesaver.
circulating, and I just don't know how I missed it, but it just wasn't something that I had read about or anything. And I went to like a salad bowl place.
Okay, we're on the teacher whose report cards are all the same, right? So here. So-and-so is a wonderful student. That's like how every single report card started. And then some adjectives used to describe. And then in class, we read the story, Bear Snores On. I asked him to make a prediction on the story before the story was read. He replied that the bear was sleeping and the animals are going to draw and color with their crayons while the bear is asleep. The animals are going to have a fun time. I was glad he was able to use his imagination to answer my question. Then we have another one where it's like basically the exact same thing. And he always says, make a prediction before we read the story. I'm too lazy to fix them all. But I'm just like, that's what a prediction is. You do it before the thing.
To the salad bowl place, and I walked in, and there was only one guy working there. Nobody was in there. And the one guy looked surprised to see me.
And then he repeats what the student says,
I
but
walked
like
in, he was
but
like,
in fuller
"Huh."
sentences.
I don't know. I didn't know anything was wrong. I just walked up, started ordering. I was like, yeah, let me get the let me get the green goddess bowl. And he was like, oh. Okay, you don't need like directions or something, or let me get the green goddess bowl. He's like, oh, okay. Grabs the bowl, and he was like, well, what would you like as your base? And I was like, I'll do the mixed greens. And he was like, you sure the rice right there? I was like, no, I'll do the mixed greens. He was like, okay. What protein would you like? We have lamb, beef, chicken, fish, shrimp. And I was like, I'll actually do the jackfruit right there.
Jackfruit is so good. We were talking about our favorite fruits yesterday, and
Okay. Are you sure?
one of my favorite like tropical ones came up, and it's in Vietnamese. It's literally called like boob milk, which is a crazy name, but
do you want
that's
any
what it
other
is.
vegetables on it? I was like, yeah, let me get the lettuce, tomatoes, cilantro. maybe a little cucumber on there. And he was like, and he slides over to ring me up. And I get ready to grab my card, and he was like, oh, no charge, man. And I was like, oh, wow, really? Yeah, okay, thanks, man. That's so nice of you. And then he grabbed one of those lids, and he was like, is it for here or to go? I was like, oh, I'll eat it here. And he was like, oh. All right, well, sit anywhere. So then I walked to my seat. I started eating my salad, and then this man watched me eat my salad. Straight up through his fingers was like, at one point, I'm halfway through my salad. He walked past me, and out of nowhere, we weren't talking, and he just goes, the bathroom code is 0248. I finished my bowl, clean up my plate and everything, and then when I walk out of the restaurant, my phone buzzes with a notification, you know, because I got the news apps and stuff, and so I went in my pocket and grabbed my phone, and I was like, what? And it was a glass door. I turned around, looked right at him, and he was like, everybody thinks they got it. Everybody thinks they have it. Because how you know? This is one of the most terrifyingly perfect bacteria to get. If this was a zombie movie, we'd all be dead right now. They're like, oh, it either takes 2 days or like 2 weeks to kick in.
I need to build my Sandrone.
Lasts for like 6 months.
I was just thinking about her. But I have to do her
Just
quest
make
first,
sure you
and that
drink your
means I need to do
Pedialyte.
the summer event quest first. So much to do, so much to catch
My
up on.
friend called me thinking he had it.
Okay, please have few mistakes.
He was like,
No, there's a mistake in every single one of these.
Oh, this man called me and literally said, I pick up the phone. He's like,
this is
I
the
think
teacher
they
that
got
thinks.
me.
This is the end of the semester, which is not true.
And I'm like, okay, who, what? And he's like, the parasite, they got me. I ate some berries. This is bad. I ate some berries. I don't know what I was thinking. I forgot. I bought them and I didn't watch the news. And I ate the berries. Now I think, oh, they got me. And I was like, okay, how do you know you have it? Like, are you experiencing the main symptom? Like, how do you, when you say you think they got you? And he's like, I don't know, I don't feel good. I don't know, I just don't feel right. This is bad. I think I got it. Yeah, I think I know I got it. And I was like, okay, well, you should definitely drink your liquids. Make sure you get your electrolytes and everything. And then rest. Don't like overexert yourself or anything. And yeah, I don't know what else you want me to do about that. Like everything I told you was pretty Googleable. Like, what do you want me to do? And he was like, I just called you for some support. And I don't even know what made me ask. But I was like, you're not on the toilet right now, are you?
Oh no.
And he was like, if I answer, will you hang up? Get off the phone. Oh, we're in a bad way. It's like, this administration is nothing but metaphors. You know? Like even when I watched his speech, where he complained 6 years later about an election he lost, I was like, I thought all the explosive diarrhea was supposed to come from the other end. That's crazy. Sometimes you will see someone do something that is not just like silly. It'll be so.
You haven't logged into Genshin for a
it'll be
hot
so
minute. The Mondstadt
stupid.
expansion is the
It
most
will
solid.
actually be
Yeah,
so
I'm glad
stupid
that we're
you
back in
ask
Mondstadt.
them
Rocking
the
in
question,
chair and-
how are you alive? You'll see someone do a thing, and you're like, what kind of life have you been living up until this point where nothing has happened to you to, wow. I saw this guy, this video of this guy who called 911 because he was stuck in a porta potty. I'll admit, not an ideal situation. I'm sure he tried a bunch of things to leave, and then when they didn't work, he called 911. But this is my thing. Let's say it happens to you. You want to avoid it, but it happens. You catch the cyclospora, whatever, and then you run to the nearest bathroom that you can because, as the news said, it's explosive. And then you sit in this porta potty, and then you're just in the porta potty for so long that, yeah, your legs fall asleep. They fall asleep, all right? And so now you get ready to go, and you're like, huh. I understand calling 911. Or, let's say, you're like a smaller than average gentleman. I understand. Maybe you sit down to porta potty, and maybe, because you're smaller than the average bear, you get a little stuck. You're over here, knees to chest, you're kicking, trying to get up.
Oh no. That's me. I'm kidding. I would never sit in a porta potty.
And so you call 911. That's not what happened in this case. In this case, firefighters show up. They call 911. 911 shows up. These firefighters show up, and when they bust open the door, the pull door open, and no one's in there. Like nobody's in there at all. They just hear, help. If I'm a fighter fire, and you call 911 and they send me, and I bust open the lock, I pull open the door, and there's nobody in there, and I hear help, it better be a ghost. It better absolutely be that you have left your mortal coil.
Oh my God.
And now your spirit is calling out for the help you wish you got in life. That's what it has to be.
Man. How did this go through if it wasn't?
This man called 911 because he fell in. I don't know how. The firefighters don't know how. No one knows how this happened. No one knows how this fell in. And so then he called for help. And when he said help, it's crazy because firefighters do that. Firefighters fight. Fire's pretty scary. Firefighters run into burning buildings, but when I tell you, every single one of them, when they heard help, they were like, oh no. These are like jacked firefighters. And they're all like, oh no.
Oh,
They're over there standing back and yelling, how? 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 And then all you see on camera from the person who was recording, all you see is just a hand rise up.
God. Ew.
And the firefighter's like, And can I tell you, I didn't know how healing it would be to see a firefighter react how I would react. These firefighters, they didn't even grab a stick to hand to him to pull him out. They were all just trying to coach. They were like, no, all right, fight. Come on, man, you can do it. Finally, one of them brings a tiger saw, and they just start sawing parts of the porta potty away, because still no one's gonna touch him or help him. They're like, best we can do is cut you out a little bit. You're gonna have to do it on your own. Come on, man, you can do it. They sounded standing as far away as they could. They sounded like somebody trying to coach someone who was losing a boxing match. Just like, come on, you can do it. Come on, try.
This next live stream is going to be like a live one, right? Like a in-person one that they do.
And the entire reason that I told you all of that is that I think it's the best metaphor for the situation we're in the United States, because you're literally our neighbors. Our hands are reaching out. You're like, oh.
Any of the characters? I'm interested, obviously, in the Saritsa. I'm kind of interested in the bear character. I think his name was Valerie. I know a lot of people are looking forward to Mitya, which I think is the big red-headed one. This process is tedious. I want to get it done. Yeah, Valerie looked really good. Yeah, he has like no speaking lines in the trailer though. Right? The only thing he really gets to say is like a grunt. But in Korean, he is voiced by the same voice actor as Zayn, so that's why I'm like extra excited. Because I am a voice simp. You've lost Flynn's to Chi-Chi twice now, hoping to redeem your pulls with Valerie. Oh, I hope so. Oh, is it Noi? Maybe Noi is actually the tall red-headed one. I just remembered Mitya, it might be the small blue-haired one. But at least Chi-Chi is good now. I say, even though I've already like had a built Chi-Chi. I love Chi-Chi, so. Chi-Chi is my daughter. Okay. Now. Oh, no. Miss Free Pass. She had so many mistakes. Let's get this over with. Ah, why does she use so many exclamation points? She doesn't know the difference between every day as one word and every day. She uses a comma and, sorry, a question mark and a comma at the same time. Like, what is that? Tragic, right? I hate checking her report cards. She also like just says the same thing about all the kids to the point where I'm like, do you even know these kids? It's just a lot of clicking. My eyes. Oh, I was trying to see. Oh, here it is. Let's put this on in the background. It is an hour long. It's Mujin's video about the Love and Deep Space situation.
If I had $1 for every time a Chinese gacha game player showed up to the development studio of their favorite game while holding a knife with the intention of assassinating staff there, then I'd be at least $2 richer. And what's crazy here is that this second dollar would be given to me as recently as June 2026, when that exact thing happened. But as a bonus, it also came bundled with a package of literal cow shit,
Ew.
vandalism, and a large police response. Love in Deep Space is the most successful female targeting gacha game of all time, easily able to earn tens of millions of dollars on any given month of the year. They were, without exaggeration, on top of the world with no competition whatsoever until one day they'd decide to shoot themselves in the foot with a fully loaded shotgun. 1 week after announcing the biggest update the game has had in a very long time, they'd do something unprecedented, going back on their word and canceling the entire update. The immeasurable disappointment their community felt would spark one of the biggest and most impressive global efforts in gacha game history, uniting people all across the globe to buy up entire city billboards, donating hundreds of thousands of dollars to charity, and even convincing Queso, of all people, to spread awareness about this injustice. And bear in mind, this is all truly nothing more than the tip of this iceberg, as it's easily one of the most complex topics I have ever covered on this channel. But it's not like I had a choice, seeing that my own community had left over 14,000 messages about this topic in my Discord server, and even went as far as compiling an amazing Google Doc about it. And so, why did this money printing machine decide to destroy itself? And how did this become a worldwide phenomenon?
I am
without further
continuing
ado,
with yesterday's work.
Do this.
We are this time making the corrections that I sent.
The first gacha game came out in 2010
I'm
and was
on
developed by Konami.
Miss
It was called
Repasses, report
Dragon
cards,
Collection.
and
The best
they
way to
annoy me.
describe it was kind of like a knockoff Pokemon, where you went from dungeon to dungeon and collected as many
Just
monsters
like
as
yesterday.
possible. And in between certain levels, you'd receive a luck-based treasure chest that has the ability of giving you some really rare items that can boost your stats like crazy. And if you wanted to open more of these treasure chests now without having to go through other levels, then you could pay money to buy them. This simple mechanic that wasn't really popular at the time would change Konami forever. By 2012, their console game sales were slipping, but their social games on social platforms like Gree, meant to be played on mobile like Dragon Collection, were defying every single expectation. By 2012, Konami's net income was up 80% thanks to this game and other games on social platforms. And this made other developers, of course, take notice. Why is Konami making so much money? How can we incorporate this into our games? And so, gacha would start to take over Japan. But it would remain in Japan for a while because, well, the entire concept was from there.
Japan
the word
loves gacha,
comes
though.
from the word gachapon, which is essentially a vending machine that you can find in many different places in Japan, with each one having a different themed set of toys, figurines, keychains, etc. And after placing money in it, essentially buying a pull, you'd be receiving something randomly from that set. Now, of course, some items in that set will have a very low drop rate, making them rare and very sought after. And the whole point is to keep buying pulls until you get what you want. And that's kind of how gacha games work. Now, as I said, gacha games would remain niche and would be mostly focused on Japan
Sounds
for
rough.
the
Hope you're not doing
longest
it.
time.
It's just the
But this, of
corrections
course,
from
would
yesterday
all
that I need to now go
in
through and
2020
make,
when
and
Genshin
then I need to go
Impact would
approve
come
the
out and
changes.
bring gacha into the
But
mainstream.
that part
Now,
should be
of course,
easy.
it
It's
was
just a lot
helped
of clicking.
quite a bit by
But this
releasing
one I
with
had to like,
pandemic as everyone
because
was locked
especially
up in
in
their
her
homes.
case, because she
But
made
one could
so many
argue that the
mistakes, I
reason
had
why
to
it
actually look and
succeeded
type.
so well was because it felt like a full-fledged game with gacha mechanics, rather than gacha mechanics with a game built around it. Due to all these elements combined, it still holds the Guinness World Record for fastest mobile game to reach $1 billion in revenue, achieving this feat in 178 days. And just to really illustrate how crazy this was, the previous record holder for this Guinness World Record was Pokemon Go. And that's not all, because Genshin Impact also holds another Guinness World Record, the fastest mobile game to reach $5 billion, which was held by Clash of Clans. And while it did rewrite certain expectations for gacha games, it didn't really rewrite the demographics that it was targeting.
People say
gacha games
that
have
like
always been about
Genshin
targeting
isn't very
a single
generous,
male with disposable
and
income.
Genshin was one of the first games that introduced like a pity system.
And you understand very quickly that the targeted demographic has not changed. You don't even need to take my word for it. The CEO of Hoyoverse, the developer behind Genshin Impact, would, as far back as 2011, talk about this topic to investors. He'd say that the otaku have been suffering from huge psychological pressure and that they hope that they can play their games easily so that they can enjoy this feeling of being saved. He would then say that the games that they're making were specifically made for touchable devices because of a fairly innovative feature they came up with, which is the touch feature. Yep, it's fairly straightforward. This was for one of their first major games called Honkai Impact, and you could pretty much touch the very hot women they can pull for, and they'll react to it, which will also increase your friendship level with them, just like real life. But if you've played gacha games, if you've come across this logic, then you must have taken a step back at some point.
But yeah, like there is a touch feature in Tears of Demons too. Like every day, I poke Artem for friendship
points. There's a lot of men that are lonely out there that would want companionship from a hot wife.
Affection point.
But let's not pretend that women don't want the same thing. I mean, come on, have you seen some of the books that some women read? One could argue that in some cases, they're even freakier than men. So where were the gacha games that were catering to their needs? Because they also had disposable income, and it seemed like no one was tapping into that, at least not successfully. You see, there's always been a type of game that's existed since the early 2000s called an otome game, a story-based romance video game targeted towards women. Yes, these games would be monetized. They had varying degrees of success, but they were also extremely niche, never able to truly reach a mainstream audience. There would be multiple attempts by multiple developers to make a gacha game centered around the otome genre, but none would truly stand out. For example, even Hoyoverse, before releasing Genshin Impact, would release a game called Tears of Themis, targeting the female demographic specifically while incorporating a gacha system around it. And
isn't an otome an
It didn't really work out
no,
that well.
otome,
It got released in China in July of
otome.
2020 and then globally on July 2021. And honestly, the revenue right now is so low that it can barely make a dent in their other titles. Like, it can't even make 10% of what Genshin Impact or Honkai Star Rail are making right now. And so the logic was, for many developers, that if even Hoyoverse can't make a successful otome game targeting the female demographic, then who can? Well, that's where the developer Paper Games came in. Now here's the deal. Paper Games has been around for a while. Their first game came out in December 2012 in China. It was called Nikki Up to You, a Dressing Story, and from day one, they were targeting women. This was a dress-up game that was made for them. By 2015, they would release another game called Love Nikki, and for the first time would expand into Japan, the biggest gacha market. In 2017, they would start taking a step in other directions by releasing the game Mr. Love Queen's Choice,
Mr.
a
Love
fairly
Queen's
standard
Choice. Oh my gosh.
2D otome game. Now yes, it would be niche and would be fairly successful, but more importantly, it would teach them priceless lessons for their magnum opus, a game that would change everything for them and the industry. In 2020, Paper Games would release a teaser trailer for their upcoming game called Love in Deep Space.
I watched
And
this.
for any fans,
The saxophone
of
with the
otome
smiley?
games, for any women out there that were hoping for a next generation experience, this
I
caused
watched
a
this pretty
massive
late,
earthquake.
and
This was
it's
the
interesting.
first 3D otome game to ever exist, and at this level of insane quality.
3 more students for
No
this
one
class.
had done this before. No one was crazy enough to even come up with this idea. This shook the entire industry to its core, and many were very interested to see how it would end up performing once it would finally release. Here's the problem though. There was no release date whatsoever. They just dropped this teaser, created a massive earthquake in the industry, and just left. They would literally disappear, and people wouldn't hear any updates from them for years. That would be the reality until 2023, when something would finally come out from the studio, but it wasn't good news at all. News outlets would report that Paper Games was about to take on a loan of $70 million. And what was really interesting here is that the person giving them that loan was Hoyoverse, the creators of Genshin Impact. It turned out that Paper Games had overextended itself and was developing too many titles at once and ran out of money. So they asked Hoyoverse for a loan, and Hoyoverse gave it. But the collateral was really interesting. If Paper Games had failed to pay Hoyoverse back their money by the agreed upon date, then Hoyoverse would get 10% of Paper Games' share, effectively owning 10% of the entire company. At the time, people didn't really know what to think. This was a massive loan, and Paper Games was not making anywhere near close that money. What people didn't know, though, was that the plan was simple. Internally, they were hoping to repay this loan by releasing Love in Deep Space. They were banking everything on the success of that game, and it was about to come out on January 2024. However, even with so much riding on this game's success, no one, whether it be from the staff or the executive team or the CEO himself, could have ever predicted the ridiculous success that this game would find all across the globe. This game's impact on the otome game genre was like what Genshin Impact did for gacha games. In 2024, paper games made over $1 billion, and you bet your ass that they repaid Hoyoverse every single dollar of that loan amount. It had done what so many others had attempted to do but failed, bringing this genre to the mainstream and incorporating gacha mechanics within it too. But why? What was the secret formula that no one else understood? Well, for many men, the attraction to gacha games was about having a power fantasy, collecting sexy and strong characters that will progress through a story that centers around them. Thing is though, women don't really want that. Love and Deep Space offered them something different. A game centered around being individually known and cared for. It played more like a 3D dating simulator that caters to your needs, like a genuine routine that becomes a part of your day rather than just a traditional gacha game. And here's how it would do that. The game would initially release with 3 different love interests, Zane, Raphael, and Xavier, and Silas would release right after, with Caleb joining the rest of the cast in 2025. There would be a million different ways of being able to interact with them in-game, making them truly feel like, well, they're real. While you're in-game, they would call you through a video call, you'd be able to text them, and sometimes, this is a Silas thing, but he would call you his kitten. When it would be your birthday, they would all individually take the time to celebrate it and would sing you happy birthday or do some other things for you. And of course, you could go on dates with them, spending quality time while able to do a variety of different activities together. But I feel like what would really take it to the next level was how developers would keep adding features that made this game a part of your daily routine. Other gachas asked you to log in every day to get rewards, but here, you were being asked to log in to make your life easier. Like for example, look at this feature called Remind Me, where you'd get a notification on your phone from your favorite love interest reminding you of something important to you, like someone's birthday, or the fact that you have an important meeting coming up. And there'd be this other feature that would come out as well that you might have heard of called the Period Tracker. Now look, there are a lot of period tracker apps out there for women to keep track of their periods. But Love and Deep Space was like, you know what, dude? This game is a part of your daily routine, so might as well have that feature too. So when you would get close to your period or your first day of your period would arrive, you'd have your favorite love interest point that out and vow to take care of you while giving you extra attention while you deal with cramps from the 7th circle of hell. Now, interestingly enough, this whole period tracker thing was some sort of a Twitter controversy when it came out back in early 2025. Some people would call Love and Deep Space a gooner game for having a period tracker, but that's just Twitter being Twitter. Because if you're going to call this a gooner game, might as well talk about the scenes where you're being figuratively railed. That's right, let's talk about monetization. How was this a gacha game? Well, you weren't pulling for the characters. You'd be pulling for something called memories. You'd meet the characters through the main story. So in other words, they'd be available to you for free. But memories are these special 3D cutscenes where you interact with these different love interests and, well, end up doing a lot of raunchy things. Yes, these can get really spicy. And it really caught me by surprise. I wasn't expecting this level of raunchiness when I streamed this game for the shits and giggles back in 2024 with the streamer Box2.
Wait, am I giving him a lap dance? What's going on right now?
Oh my god!
Dude, what is this? We
He's
just get a free
sweating, bro. Goddamn!
We're literally fucking.
What's happening?
Is that my tits?
Hey, yo, is that your leg? Yo, that's your leg. That's your leg. Hey, man.
Is that my tits?
Okay.
Holy
Wow.
man, was sweating and hey.
Oh no, he's bending me
Oh,
over.
he opened your legs, bro.
Yeah, it was definitely unexpected on my end. So essentially, this is what people spend their money on, okay? Of course, seeing that this is a free-to-play game, you can earn this currency for free by playing, but many would choose to spend money because other than these raunchy cutscenes, you'd also be unlocking outfits for these love interests, as well as gear that would make you more powerful for story combat sequences, because this is an action game at the end of the day as well.
Finished with Miss Free
All these
Passes
elements
report cards. Oh
combined
my god.
would make this game one of the most successful gacha games of all time. Other developers in the industry would be so impressed that they would ask team members from Paper Games to conduct workshops or presentations talking about the logic and strategy behind making this behemoth. Like this presentation that was conducted back in March 2026 in the Game Developers Conference. It will be called Designing Crush-Worthy Characters in Love and
Yeah,
Deep Space.
looking
This
at
would
her
be
report cards is giving me a
fascinating because
headache.
in this presentation, the lead character designer would describe how the team designed characters that millions of players became emotionally attached to. This emotional attachment would be why this game would make so much money. The women playing this game would sometimes spend money when they already had a good enough amount of currency. And they had two main reasons to do so. Number one, they are absolutely in love with a love interest in the game and they want to spoil them. And number two, they want to support the developer. This is not a mentality that you see for many things. Many women genuinely wanted Paper Games to make more money so that they can continue updating the game because no one else had ever made a game like this. And before you knew it, this game was competing head-to-head with the giants of gacha such as Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. By mid-2024, it was making tens of millions of dollars per month. So as I said, it was no wonder that Paper Games made over $1 billion in 2024, while also becoming the #1 highest earning app on the Chinese App Store, which is a very big deal. But by the end of 2024, they would take it another step further, incorporating something that's not really present in mainstream gacha games like Love and Deep Space: VIP services. You would become a VIP if you spend a minimum of $690. And as soon as you reach Tier 2, which starts at $2,100, you would receive gift boxes sent to your address. They'd have special merch and other little goodies. And when you get to the VIP 2 tier, you start getting personalized gift boxes sent
You were
to
ready
your
to drop
address,
40
with
to 50 on
more exclusive items
Valko?
signed
Yeah.
by your love interest
blame
in
you.
game once you reach higher tiers, with some being at a minimum of 5.
Some people already did
figures.
too. That's another thing
Look
that
at
sucks.
how
Some
many
people had
people
already like
on the Love and Deep
prepaid.
Space subreddit would post when they got VIP, like it's a celebration. And you know what's even crazier? These prices that I just showed you are exclusive to the Chinese server, taking into consideration their local purchasing power. But outside of the Chinese, Japanese, and South Korean servers, it has been reported, like in this thread right here, that the minimum for global players to become VIP is to spend around $6,000.
Ew.
Almost 10 times the Chinese minimum. That is a lot of money.
That's crazy.
By March 2025, Love and Deep Space would start outgrossing Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Wuthering Waves, Uma Musume, just about any other gacha. The CEO of Paper Games was hailed as a genius, and he would become a billionaire. He'd be interviewed by so many different publications. And he'd say that the reason for his success was simple, specifying, it's not that women don't like to play games, but there are no good games for women to play. He'd also point out that when it came to Paper Games, 70% of their workforce is female. So he wasn't necessarily the genius here, it was the team behind this game. For one of the first times ever, you had a high budget game for women made by women in the otome genre. And that's what so many other game companies were missing. That's why games like Tears of Themis just couldn't really hit the mark. And this is how Love and Deep Space became a worldwide phenomenon, with billboards even popping up in Times Square. It would become such a phenomenon that you'd have media publications like Reuters making mini documentaries about how this game took over
You
women's
saw that? You
love
hope Info
lives.
considers
Listen to how they
that
would
now the Chinese
describe it.
government okayed Valko is just yeah, exactly.
Chinese
I hope
civil
that they're
servant
just like
Zhou was in a
okay, like it
6-month
passed, you
relationship
know.
with her first boyfriend. He's a wavy-haired, handsome painter. He's also fictional. Chi Yu is one of 5 romantic interests to choose from in Love and Deep Space, the world's biggest mobile dating game with some 80 million
Is this an AI
users,
voice?
according to research firm Sensor Tower.
80 million users. That is an insane amount of users. But yeah, this app did such a good job of incorporating itself into your daily routine that it kind of made it meaningless for many women to even seek out a boyfriend. It was that crazy. There'd also be a couple different documentaries by the publication South China Morning Post. In one of them, they talk about women that would specifically hire cosplayers to dress up as their love interest from Love and Deep Space and go out on dates with them. And in another,
That was
they
actually
would do the
about
same thing
like
as Reuters,
cosplayers in
talking about how some
general,
women
like
were
not
replacing
just Love and Deep
real-life
Space.
men with, well,
But
Love
one
and
of the
Deep
ones they
Space love
followed
interests.
happened to be cosplaying
Such
Silas that
massive
day.
success comes with its own fair share of critics. And by 2025, you'd have multiple media publications come up with a narrative that it's because of games like this, these otome games, that birth rates were declining.
That's
A
crazy.
lot of criticism would
Not
be
true.
directed towards the game and the women that were playing it. Some of these women would start blaming incel culture for this, while others would point out that it's just simply because it's popular. This new dynamic would lead to some nasty fights within the gacha community, like how, for example, on the Chinese internet, some Love and Deep Space fans would go head-to-head with Snowbreak Containment Zone fans, a game that heavily targeted the male demographic. Things got very nasty there, and I would need to make a whole video to do it justice, but it did end with the government intervening and pretty much censoring the hell out of Snowbreak. But it's just an example to illustrate to you how this huge wave of attention that this game got didn't only bring positives to the community. However, as
3 more
long as
sets.
the developer could keep the Love and Deep Space community satisfied, nothing could stand in the way of this money-printing behemoth. But with so much attention and expectations aimed towards this game, and with so much money being made, as time went on, it seemed like Paper Games was simply not prepared to blow up that much. And that lack of preparation gave them many more problems with their own community than they could have ever bargained for. So remember how I said that this game was all about how it made its own audience feel like they're being individually known and cared for? Well, it wasn't just the game doing this, it was the developer too. Here are some examples. Throughout the year, there will be multiple time-limited events in the game, like other gacha games. And whenever that would happen, they would take the opportunity to make these educational videos directed towards their female audience that taught them different things that they could find useful, well, as women. Here's them, for example, hiring the Beijing 2008 Olympic champion for judo. And in this 12-minute video, women who play this game would be taught about women's self-defense. Here's another example in which a faculty member at the Mental Health Education Center of the China Academy of Art would conduct a workshop about mental health. But this wouldn't just be limited to a woman's needs. Paper Games, being a Chinese developer, would also take this as an opportunity to teach their massive global audience about Chinese culture. Like how in this video, the director of Heritage Protection Division would teach the Love and Deep Space audience about China's cultural heritage. Them using the game's revenue to fund things like this made many women express the fact that this wasn't just a community or a developer, this was a safe space specifically for women. You can see this expressed in so many of these different comments. I'm not really making it up. There are people saying that they're literally crying watching the self-defense video. And this comment right here, I think, sums it up, saying, "It's crazy and also super amazing how a dating simulator is inspiring me and others to take care of ourselves, recognize our self-worth, and even learn self-defense." This is what Love and Deep Space was for so many people. But unfortunately, as time went on, this priceless relationship built on trust would start having cracks form in its foundation due to bad decisions made by the developer, mostly relating to the game itself. What do I mean by this? Well, let's go back to the example of Genshin Impact. It makes
Good
a
luck
lot
with the
of
stream.
money,
You're gonna go
and
sleep.
in
Oh wow,
return,
that's very
it's
late.
meant to
Have a
give
good
you
rest.
constant
Thank you for
updates.
dropping
One
by,
update
Wolf.
typically lasts for 4
Wow, you stayed up
days.
really
Then
late.
the next update comes along with new events and, more importantly, new story, advancing the plot that everyone's playing the game for.
If we
Every
have
update will
time, which
also
maybe we
typically
might,
have two
I'll
brand
do
new
like a bit
characters
of
that you
a
can
bit
pull
more
from.
of the moon
And
quest
every year, you'd have
before I
a
end
major
stream.
update
But
that would introduce
yeah,
an entirely new
still
region.
finishing up these
Now,
corrections.
as I mentioned before, Love and Deep Space does have a story mode. You'd have story segments that are in 3D. It's like a 3D visual novel, right? With cutscenes and voice acting. And you'd also have combat. This is easily, by far, the most important aspect of the game. Story is what allows you to meet the new love interests that release, while also advancing the plot with them in it. Because they interact with each other as well. They have stories that tie in together and they know each other, sometimes being friends. So while yes, many players
do
get
not
very
interact
excited
with
about
each
pulling
other.
for a
That's a
banner
lie.
because it involves a raunchy cutscene.
I think he
if
got
you
a
have
little
to
bit
ask them whether they
confused
prefer
there.
getting a banner of their favorite love interest or
Someone
more story,
misinformed him.
the majority of them would always choose more story. But by 2025, it seemed evident that both banners and story content were just not meeting expectations. They weren't necessarily releasing fast enough for a game of this caliber, making this much money. And multiple complaints would start arising within the
I
community.
need them to
that the
actually
scheduling
interact. I
is
can't
too
believe that we don't have
inconsistent and
scenes
the
with Caleb and
communication
Zane
is just non-existent.
together.
Genshin Impact had a new update every 40 days. That was well established. Other gachas functioned very similarly. It was simply the industry standard. But with Love and Deep Space, it seemed like they just released things on a whim, like as if they were winging it. When it came to limited banners, right, the ones that you had to pull for within a specific time frame, otherwise they disappear, there'd be mainly two types. A banner made specifically for one love interest, and a banner with all love interests combined. Now look, when it comes to combined banners, there's a lot of misinformation out there about how it works. I saw many, even Love and Deep Space players, saying that you have a 1 in 5 chance of getting the banner that you want. But that's not true. There's this
If they ever
mechanic that
made
allows you to
dual
select
memories,
the one banner that you
you'd
really
go broke
want
so
and
fast,
two others
right?
that you'd also not mind
Please.
having. Once you hit a 5-star, you'll randomly get one of those banners. If you don't get your precise wish, the character that you wanted the most, then this mechanic guarantees that the next time you hit a 5-star, you will get the banner that you wanted the most. So regardless of how many love interests get added to the game, whether it's 3 or 6, the odds will always remain the same. Now I want to make something clear. Remember how I said that Genshin Impact released a major update every year which involved a new region? Well, the version of this in Love and Deep Space is a new love interest. A new love interest signifies a new region. It adds more story, more lore, more depth. I mean, it was just the best thing you could hope for. But by the time the 5th character came out, which was Caleb, a certain issue became very hard to ignore for the wider community. And that had to do with the fact that Paper Games now had a workload that they clearly couldn't handle anymore. More characters coming out with their limited resources meant that some characters would be completely neglected in favor of newer ones. And this leads us to my wonderful creation that I call the neglect ranking. I made this to really illustrate to you just how disorganized
Oh, never
the
mind.
release
Okay.
schedule of this game was, as if
I thought I missed this part where he said that he made the table, but like this is a really bad table because this isn't like this this isn't indicative of neglect since the characters like do cycle through, right? So it's not really like indicative of actual neglect, right? Um Everybody is being regularly cycled through. So I don't know. This is just I just think this is not a good system
they were
that
truly
he set up
winging
here.
it. Now, as I said, the most important aspect of this game is story content, but for the sake of this argument, let's look at banners first. So as you can see, the most neglected love interest in this game is Xavier. His last banner was his birthday. This happens every year for every character, by the way. And it was 9 months ago. Meanwhile, Caleb was 4 weeks ago, and Silas was 7 weeks ago at the time of recording. Now, yes, you can make the argument that Silas and Caleb released after the initial 3, but is it really fair to neglect 3 of your 5 characters in favor of the 2 newer ones? What if you played this game just for Xavier or Raphael? This was very inconsistent and showed that there was no real release schedule that made it fair for everyone. But if you thought this was bad, then wait till you see the main story neglect ranking. Here, the most neglected
This one
is
really
Caleb,
doesn't make
the most
sense.
recent character. The last time he was in the story was in January 2025, 18 months ago.
The neglect ranking is a great. Yeah, and this one in particular doesn't make sense because they like with the main story, they are literally like it's not really neglect because of course Caleb entered and then they continued to release another story and then that was 2 characters focus and then another part of the story 2 characters focus. It's really obvious that like after Valco they'll probably release a story, you know, with Caleb and Valco, you know, like which makes sense because Valco has a lot to do with Caleb's storyline. So like I just think that this is not really like, I think he's misunderstanding how, like, the story cycle works, you know? So, it's pretty obvious that Caleb would have been next anyway, so it's not really neglect. It's everybody is getting cycled through, just the story updates are so slow, right?
His debut arc when he first released. When it came to Silas and Zane, 14 months ago. And when it came to the most favored characters, really in quotations, most favored, Xavier and Raphael were in the main story 6 months ago. This meant that the last story content for this game was
Also, he seems to be like, I don't know how he didn't notice that, like, there is almost an inverse of this quote unquote neglect ranking and the other one. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how he didn't get that.
on January 2nd, 2026. We're now halfway through 2026, and there was no new main story content, period. That's without mentioning the characters that haven't been featured in the story for way longer than 6 months. So in comparison to other gacha games of the same tier as Love and Deep Space that make as much money, this was ridiculous. They were inconsistent with their release schedule and were not communicative enough about things to look forward to, about dates. And let's also not forget the fact that they refused to make a PC client for this game, even though their other games had it. But this was the game that was making them the most money. And so as I mentioned, this would be a recurring topic within the community.
Oh god, a PC client would be great.
2025. It would cause multiple
It
dramas.
would be so
with
much
different
easier to
points of
stream.
views giving their opinions on why it takes so long to develop the main story and release content. But overall, the biggest loss for this game were longtime players that had spent a lot of money on it, losing hope that anything was going to change. Feeling like the money and time they were spending in this game just didn't matter. Like this money was being funneled to other projects and Paper Games was simply not interested in making it any better. This would start forming a narrative that they were too greedy, prioritizing memories and banners and ignoring the story. It seemed like they simply didn't really have what it took to be this big of a developer with so much success. They just weren't ready for it. As evidenced by the fact that things would get significantly worse because they would somehow commit an unforgivable taboo in their own local market of China. A mistake so grave that it perfectly encapsulates the expression of shooting yourself in the foot.
Oh dear.
9/11 is a tragic event that would occur on United States soil on the 11th
How much time
of
goes into new
September
cars should also be considered. They're
2001.
making
It's best
singles
known
and
for the
multis in a
two
decently
passenger
consistent
planes that were
cycle.
hijacked full of passengers that
for all the
collided
love
into the
interest
two
between
towers
reruns.
of the World Trade Center. There would, of course, be two other planes involved, one that would crash into the Pentagon
Yeah,
and one that
I
tried to crash into the White
I
House
do
but failed.
feel like there
Now, this was
is
an event that happened over 25 years ago.
a semblance of a
And
plan
odds
at
are,
least.
if I
Like
went to the
I
US
don't. Yeah,
right
I
now
think
and
it's
made
not
a
really
joke
perfect understanding
centered
of
around
that here,
9/11,
and I think it's
everyone would
because
find it
like
funny,
he's not
assuming
looking
I
at
have good
it
humor,
on a big scale,
except
right?
for those who were directly involved.
It's
in
because
those events, losing a
yeah, I
family
know
member, a
9/11. It's
relative,
because it's like
or a
a
friend.
easier for
Hell, I
Americans
could
to
probably make a
understand
joke about
when
Pearl
you
Harbor,
relate things
a
to
tragic
them.
event that occurred during World War II. And again, the majority would probably not care. That's just how culture works in the United States when it comes to sensitive events. Nothing holds weight there for too long. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to East and Southeast Asia, actually, you know what? Probably the majority of Asia at this point, but let's just focus on East Asia for now. Tragic events, no matter when they happen throughout history, still hold immense weight even today. Their dates, their anniversaries, their names, they are ingrained into society, and no one would ever dare joke about them. This cultural clash can be perfectly illustrated during the meeting between President Trump of the United States and Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi of Japan. Trump
Depending
would
on
make
the
a
joke,
Pearl
yeah.
Harbor joke right to the Prime Minister's face and laugh it off. This is something perfectly acceptable in the United States. This is passable. Takaichi, on the other hand, I mean, you can see the facial expression on her. She was mortified. If she would have made a Pearl Harbor joke, or hell, I don't know, a Hiroshima or Nagasaki joke in Japan, she'd get impeached within less than 24 hours. That's just how the culture works there. And so, this is why it was extremely clumsy and stupid and tone deaf for Paper Games, a Chinese developer, to release a lore chapter on April 2026 about the character Xavier, where they talk about human experimentation and other dark themes, while titling it Test Record A0731. Like, even if I hired someone to sabotage this company from within, they wouldn't come up with such a genius idea. When you say the three numbers 731 to any Chinese person who was educated in a state school, for example, they'll immediately think of one thing: Unit 731 of the Japanese Imperial Army during World War II. This was a secret research facility that was operated between 1933 and 1945 on occupied Chinese territory, more specifically in Harbin. This is where the Japanese would experiment on over 200,000 human beings from China. They would say it's to advance medicine, but in reality, many of these experiments were just morbid and sadistic. I'm not going to go into full detail because I'll get demonetized and age restricted, but you can read about this yourself. I can give you an example though. They'd have pregnant women in captivity in Unit 731, and those babies would be born in captivity as well. Those incredible scientists would come up with the idea to experiment on those babies, but not any experiments. It would just be like, hey, I'm bored. Why don't we throw like a few babies in this frozen river outside and see how long it takes for them to die? Yeah, I wish I was making things up, bro. This was Unit 731. This is well known in Asia, specifically in China, because of how horrendous it was. But it's not really taught to Westerners. It's not taught in schools. In China, though, to this day, even in 2026, you say 731 to anyone, they'll know what you're talking about. There's a reason, many different reasons, that Chinese still hold Japanese people
I don't know
in
if it's
very
this
negative
particular
regard,
unit,
even
but
in
I know that
2026. This is without me mentioning the rape of Nanjing, for example.
the U.S.
And so as a Chinese
took
company, to
in
have
some
a
of
lore
those,
text
I think,
about
like,
human experimentation with the number
scientists,
731
right?
is just
Like after the war,
it's insane. It's genuinely
because,
insane. But when it first came out in April
to
2026,
the government,
it didn't really bring much controversy. In fact,
the results
most
of
people
some
didn't even know about it or
of
didn't
their
really
like
care.
research
The
was
reason
more
why I'm telling you
important
about this right
than
now is because this is going to bite
the
them in
humanity
ass
of it,
very
which
badly
is pretty
later.
shitty.
For now, though, the Love and Deep Space community was laser focused on one thing and one thing only. When is my story content going to come out already? But here's the thing.
Yeah,
Ever since the game released with
Operation
3
Paperclip,
characters,
yeah, I
there's
think so.
always been
I'm bad
a
with
coming
names.
soon text on the bottom right, indicating that there's going to be more love interests to come out. And so when Silas and Caleb released, their updates were so major because they came with more story content, with banners, with all sorts of things. And so many were wondering when this 6th character was finally going to come out, because this meant more story finally after a 6-month drought. Well, around the end of June 2026, the Love and Deep Space community would finally get an answer to this. And while this was meant to be a period of immense joy and excitement, it ended up turning into the biggest existential
Yeah, this is
threat
one
that
reason
this
that I'm
game
pissed,
and
right? We were
studio
gonna get
had
more
ever
story,
faced since
and they took
opening
away
their
our
doors
story.
in 2012. All right, so it's now June 22nd, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Love and Deep Space players receive an
A joint
in-game
operation
message
between the
telling
US
them
and
that they're
USSR,
about to
yeah.
witness a once-in-a-century supermoon.
They
Asking
split
them
the
to
scientists
go
between them
watch
and
a
give them
live stream
immunity.
that was going
Yeah,
to
it's
take
so
place
shitty.
on the same day. This really came out of
Can't say
nowhere.
I'm surprised,
and it
though,
shows
you know?
you that they're kind of winging it with their scheduling. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Something like this would typically get like a week's notice. In any case, the supermoon countdown would take hold. People waited with bated breath to see what this announcement was going to be, and then, all of a sudden, it was right there. A new character would be announced, Valko. Half wolf, half human. And as you can see by the chat, on the global live stream that has almost 1 million views, the community was extremely excited. All of them spamming
All of the "Ow" is so
like
funny.
a wolf, unable to wait to see him in action, both in combat but also the story, because a new character, as I said, signified a new region. So this was huge. However, in another live stream they would do shortly after, they would announce something else. Another major feature, which was the Home 2.0 update. You'd have a home that you can hang out with your love interests, and this time around, they were adding a kitchen. Where
You've
you can
been
cook
keeping
together
one of
with
your
them
guy
and take
friends
pictures,
updated on the whole
etc.
Valko situation. He's
However,
genuinely baffled
in
all
the
this happened.
announcement
Yeah.
trailer, they would use this sentence saying, "Never bathe in the pot." This was very, very tone deaf, just like with the whole 731 business, because the Chinese viewers, they felt that it was in reference to what had happened back in the year of 2024, where a man in Shanxi made the soul of his girlfriend evaporate to heaven by pouring extremely hot noodle broth on her using a pot. So due to this, the phrase bathing in a pot had become dark lingo online, referencing this specific case. For example, you could tell someone, hey, go bathe in a pot, and people would understand you weren't wishing them well.
Okay, but
so already this
that
was
line
causing
literally
a lot of
says never do
controversy,
that.
even though a new love interest was just announced and it was meant to be something very exciting. At the same time, in Valko's trailer, they would also use yet another controversial sentence while teasing him, saying, invite the wolf in. In the Chinese livestream, they had used a Chinese idiom, meaning to invite disaster by letting an enemy inside your home. Seeing that his character concept involves him breaking into the female protagonist's home, that didn't help. What also didn't help was that his dialogue included, what's wrong with inviting the wolf in? Just peek inside and she'll open her door for you. So, combining this with the whole bathe in the pot controversy, some Chinese players felt that Love and Deep Space was packaging illegal home invasion as a romantic fantasy, using language that explicitly frames a woman's private space as available to enter without consent. So this, on top of the whole bathe in the pot thing, went against the idea of this being a safe space for women, and it caused a lot of controversy as well. And if that wasn't enough, the Valko trailer that was posted on Chinese social media would get bombarded with over 750,000 comments, many of them very negative, because many players would express the fact that not only did they not feel safe around him because he'll break into your home or whatever, but they heavily disliked the way he looked, calling it too much of a Western look, saying things like, can it be released on the international server separately? And telling the developer either go offline or make it look better, it referring to Valko. Here's this comment, for example, getting 300 likes. No obligation to support the new Western male lead, refund, and shut down the server. With many also expressing the same thing by saying, just please release it on the global servers and leave the Chinese server alone, I'm begging you. At the same time, very toxic elements of the Chinese community would sprout out and would start insulting Western players, calling them Western white whores while also telling Paper Games, hey, you fucking forgotten who your main donor is. You've forgotten who makes you the most money, us, the Chinese players. There will be some very nasty comments all around made towards Westerners because of Valko being teased. But it wouldn't just be his Western look that would turn them off. It goes back to what I was talking about the community grievances that had started spawning in 2025. The whole idea about the inconsistent release schedule, how some characters were getting main story releases and some others weren't, and for some reason there'd be complaints about the fact that the gacha odds are now worse with a 6th character. Instead of having a 1 in 5 chance of getting the banner you want, you have a 1 in 6 chance. I really have no idea why this became a thing because I explained in this video how the banner system works. I guess we can call these people LARPers. And on top of that, there will be complaints about inconsistent story narratives, saying that Valko is a core leader of a villainous group in the story that has harmed all existing protagonists. So in a way, some didn't want a romantic interest that hurt the other romantic interests. But honestly, this was surprising to me that this was even a narrative, because even in his own trailer it's explained that Valko is the Eon Core Tech chairman, not having anything to do with ever. So this was yet another rumor that spawned on the Chinese internet that for some reason spread like wildfire. Are you starting to understand why this whole topic is so convoluted? Like, I'm genuinely so confused half the time. And on top of that, for some reason, I guess maybe it's a cultural thing, many Chinese female players feel like a wolf or a bear character is gay. So there were many complaints that Valko was gay.
Wolves and bears
This was
are
really
gay,
something
guys.
that you could find a lot on Chinese social media. And I guess the problem with having a gay character, in their opinion, was the fact that Love and Deep Space would attract gay male players, and they don't want that. They only want this game to be directed towards women. Now, on this extremely ratioed post on Chinese social media, they would do their best to communicate with their player base, to calm any grievances they might have and tell them, hey, trust us. For example, this is them replying to someone that called Valko gay, saying, all the male protagonists are heterosexual, yesterday, today, tomorrow, and forever. And they would reply with things like, I'm sorry, after you've calmed down a bit from venting, could you please take a look at this wolf and give him a try? Please. Damage control was in full swing. But these replies would be posted on Chinese social media known as Xiaohongshu.
Who is
and
not
the
into
comments
like
weren't
the
really
werewolf thing
impressed.
though? Like,
they really
I'm very
just
confused.
didn't like the character, and they didn't really like the direction the game was headed in. This was in massive contrast.
Hi, ACR
to
Talk.
the
Yeah,
global
it's very
audience,
silly
okay?
argument.
Like, this is Valko's trailer that was released on Twitter, and
The Love and
it
Deep
didn't
Space
just get 5
situation is
million views
ridiculous.
and a lot of likes. Many of the top comments, in fact, all of them, were very, very excited for him. It would actually be hard to find any negativity on this post. Unfortunately, none of these players are local, okay? They're all outside of China. And the people that had a problem with paper games,
It's a hot wolf.
were in
It's a
China.
hot
It wasn't
nerd
all
wolf
of them,
man
but it
too.
was a
Like you
very
get everything
loud
with this
and
guy.
toxic chunk
He
of
wears
the community.
glasses.
So much so that they would take this to ridiculous levels, sending literal
You know,
cow
so many
poop
people would be
to
into
the
it.
studio.
He's a fit
Many players
scientist.
would go around
Come
the
on,
building
man.
and take pictures of themselves giving a middle finger to the studio. And there were some that employed an amazing tactic used by South Korean crazy K-pop fans, which is also sending the studio funeral flowers.
Ugh.
There'd even be a wolf paw in front of the studio meant to advertise Valko, and it would get vandalized. The police would have to show up and install yellow tape around it so that no one else messes with it again. And to make matters worse, someone live-streamed themselves with a knife in front of the building, trying to make their way in. Here are some images, with a third image being censored with the weapon. I wish this was a joke. Here's a 9-second clip that was recorded in front of the studio that kind of shows you the chaos that they were dealing with after Valko's announcement, with someone just screaming insults towards the studio. Watch. And so soon after, this would start being reported on by international media outlets. And on top of all this, Love and Deep Space would lose over 1 million followers across all their Chinese social platforms. This was a very big deal, and it was becoming uncontrollable. No matter what they tried to quell the damage, it was done. But that didn't mean they wouldn't try anyway. On June 27th, 2026, just 5 days after the initial announcement of Valko, Love and Deep Space would make an announcement for the global audience, in which they say, Dear Deep Space Hunters, recently the development team has received a great deal of feedback and many suggestions regarding the game. We have also heard
Valko
your
did nothing
concerns about
wrong,
the
I
team's
know.
capacity to consistently
Exactly,
deliver
he can
high-quality
study me.
content in
Oh
the
my
future.
gosh.
So
He
this
just
has to
wanted
do
some
with their
chocolate milk. He's
inconsistent
got a sweet
updates, right?
tooth.
We would therefore like to take this opportunity to respond with the care that your trust and expectations deserve. From the very beginning, we have hoped to make Love and Deep Space a romantic world that continues to grow.
I became more
alongside
interested
every
in him
Deep
once I
Space
actually saw
hunter.
his
A
teaser
world
too.
filled with more diverse
Because at first I
experiences
really
and
didn't
lasting
care.
companionship.
He's not
This hope has guided us
appearance
throughout
wise
the game's
really my
development
type.
and remains at
And
the
I'm
heart of
so
everything
loyal,
we are
like
working
uh,
toward. The
to a
development
fault
of
that
Valko
like
and
I would
related
never be able to
content
give
is
up
part of
Zane
the
anyway.
long-term content
But
plan for Love and Deep Space.
I saw people
However,
were really
we
excited and I was
recognize
like
that
happy
the way
for
the
them. And then I saw his
information
trailer and I
about
was like,
Valko presented
ooh.
did not give sufficient consideration
He's
to
like one of
expectations
the new
and
possible
concerns
alternatives
regarding
now,
the
like
game's
for
future
the
content
three
plans.
choice picker
As a
thingy.
result,
Still,
many
like
hunters
my
have been
focus
left
would be
with
Zane, but
questions
you know.
and worries since Valko's initial announcement. We sincerely
Okay,
apologize for
we
any
did it.
frustration
We finished
and unease this
the
has caused. We have also heard your concerns
corrections,
about
and
whether
now I just
future
need to
content can
approve
continue
all of
deliver
them.
consistently without compromising on
Can
quality.
I wish
Please
there
be
was a
assured
button
that the
where I
Love
could
and
just
Deep
approve
Space
everything at
development team
once.
has continued to grow since the game's launch. The main story chapters you have been waiting for are currently in active development. The stories of Farspace Colonel Caleb and Onikinus leader Silas will continue, and a new series of Solar Slot memories will also be arriving soon. The development team will continue to deliver richer game experiences and high-quality content on a consistent basis. We also understand that these concerns are not simply about the pace of updates. They come from how deeply you care about Love and Deep Space and the love interests who have been by your side throughout this journey. It is because you cherish every moment you have shared with them that you hope this companionship will continue for many years to come. For this reason, we want to make this commitment to you. The stories, companionship, and future of every love interest will always remain an essential part of the long-term plans for Love and Deep Space. This will not change for any reason. Enclosed with this letter are Deep Space Wish 10 and Empyrean Wish 10. Please log into the game before July 23rd to claim them from your in-game mailbox. Once again, we would like to thank every Deep Space Hunter for the encouragement, honest feedback, and support you have given us throughout this journey. We know that it is your unwavering love and support that give meaning to everything we do and guide us forward. In the future, the development team will keep working hard to bring you more high-quality content and a better game experience worthy of your support. We hope you have a wonderful day in Lincoln City and many more wonderful days to come. Signed, the Levin Deep Space Development Team. And so look, this was in reference to the fact that in this game there's currency. Currency you can earn by playing the game that you can also buy. This announcement for Valko came out of nowhere. Some people were probably not prepared, didn't save up enough to be able to pull for his banner, and they didn't really want to miss out on the memory. This was Love and Deep Space acknowledging that the announcement came out of nowhere and that in the future they would keep them updated ahead of time, while also taking into consideration that they should probably have a more consistent schedule that takes every love interest into account. This gave hope to many global players who might have had grievances with the game's development schedule, and many had a lot of optimism. However, global players were not their main concern right now. It was the Chinese players, and they were about to pull out a very dirty strategy to punish the developer into kneeling down and obeying their wishes, which is removing Valko from the game. And that strategy involves getting the attention of the Chinese state. And so, remember that good old test record A0731? Yeah, well, even though it came out in April, it would get brought out again in June during the Valko controversy, and so a new narrative would form. Paper Games is an enemy of the state,
Oh my
and
God,
they have a
that's not-
Japanese mole inside that is there to mock the Chinese people and their suffering. So within just a few days after Valko had been announced, this narrative would spread like wildfire, so much so that it would force Love and Deep Space to make a statement on the 29th of June talking about it, as well as the other grievances the community had. It would be posted on the Chinese social media website known as Weibo, and here's what they'd have to say after translating it through Google Translate. Recently, we have noticed many discussions circulating online regarding the game and promotional content of Love and Deep Space. We sincerely apologize for any misunderstandings and negative experiences caused. Thank you for your continued attention, and we will humbly accept opinions from all parties. To avoid such content affecting the gaming experience of our players, we would like to clarify and explain these issues as follows. Number 1, date controversy in the world's depths.
This
Harmony
genuinely
with
had
Light
you going
and Dust.
insane.
We received
Yeah, this is
feedback from players
crazy.
that the Harmony with Light and Dust update on April 21st contained a number that could easily lead to misunderstandings. We took this very seriously and immediately conducted an internal investigation. It has been confirmed that the number is a fictitious date, a placeholder without any actual meaning, and has not been packaged in any way. We fully understand the potential misunderstandings that this random number may cause and will complete the online modification as quickly as possible today. This issue exposed the lack of
They used
sensitivity
a
among
random
some
number
members of the
generator and
development
didn't
team.
think about
We will
it.
strengthen training to prevent such situations from recurring. We will also further improve our internal review mechanism, paying attention to every detail to ensure the quality of online content. Number 2, controversy arising from some marketing copy. In the promotional material released on June 25th, marking 3 days until the livestream's countdown, the phrase "taking a bath in a pot" was accused of containing a suggestive reference. In reality, this copy was a teaser for the upcoming Home 2.0 update's kitchen gameplay, written in a non-everyday style to match the livestream's Strange
that-
Tales
yeah.
of Rules theme.
That
So
didn't
this is
even have
badly
anything to do
translated,
with
but what they were saying
Valko.
was the teaser was like in a horror theme, and this was meant to match.
It was
this
just
horror
about the
theme.
pot.
This is why they used that phrase. It had nothing to do with that incident that
It
happened
was
in
just about
2024.
MC's
They
bad
then continue and
cooking.
say, due to the widespread circulation of misinterpretations for this content, all related content has been removed to avoid unnecessary confusion for players. We urge everyone not to believe such rumors. Furthermore, the inviting the wolf into the house text in the trailer released on June 28th, The Law of Instinct, is simply a copywriting element related to the new male protagonist's werewolf identity and has no other meaning. We have noticed some controversy surrounding this text. To avoid affecting the player experience, this text and all related materials will be uniformly changed to Pure Love Wolf King. And then in the last part of the statement, they would clarify, we don't make characters specifically for one audience or demographic. This idea that it's a Western male character is just not true. And also, this rumor about us being an all-gender-oriented game is utterly absurd, ignoring our consistent positioning as an otome game. In other words, no gays allowed, okay? This is a female-only game. Stop with these stupid rumors. They'd also defend themselves. As a Chinese company, we have always considered this our responsibility and have never stopped promoting Chinese culture overseas. Like, they just took a stand here and reminded everyone, yo, these rumors are absurd. We do so much to spread Chinese culture overseas to Western players.
They do.
You saying that we only care about Western players and don't care about Chinese players is ridiculous. And so this post would get over 1.6 million likes, but also over 200,000 comments.
Oh my gosh.
The top comment would be saying, I'd rather take Valko off the shelves. with over 136,000 likes. The reply to that would be remove Valco from the platform, and another reply would say our demands are number 1, remove Valco, number 2, compensate for gacha resources, and number 3, the production
his
team
name
should
Ao
deeply
Yin or
reflect
Lao
on their
Lu?
own problems and issue an apology, while promising to not add any new male leads. In fact, all the top comments are just shitting on the developer, saying that they deserve all the controversy going their way and that this was a bad statement. Now new rumors were popping up. Paper Games was arrogant. They don't know how to apologize. They don't know how to take a step back. They're an enemy of the state and they're not even apologetic about it. What didn't make it any better to Paper Games, honestly, is the fact that they would replace the 731 number with 611, which was another tragedy that involved Japanese forces
Oh my
invading the
God.
town of Daojiao. 3,000 villagers were rounded up and killed, and you know how stories go with the Japanese, okay? They're literally the evil villains of Asia up until
No
after
more
World
male
War
leads,
II,
so
when
what, they just want a
became
stagnant
the anime
storyline,
central
right?
capital of the world. I really need to specify here though, I haven't seen a single screenshot showing that whole 611 mistake. This most likely seems to be yet another false rumor created on the Chinese internet that spread even to the West. But like the other things so far in this video that you've seen, it had already spread like wildfire and created yet another rumor involving the CEO. Paper Games wasn't just an enemy of the state, the CEO also was. Why? Because he studied in a Japanese university by the name of Waseda University as an economics major. So he was the internal mole. He was the one who put 731 on purpose because he
Crazy.
hates China. He's actually a secret Japanese citizen. But here's where things truly got out of control when it came to the whole 731 situation. I know, it already got out of control. They're being made to be an enemy of the state. How could it get any worse? Well, you would have multiple media outlets in China create articles in which they would attribute the number 731 with Valco specifically. You'd even have the news publication Beijing Daily, which is of course government affiliated, talk about this too and talk about 731 and how it's associated with Valco. In reality, this was false. This was an archive file that was talking about lore relating to Xavier. But this misinformation had spread so far and wide because it was literally being talked about by news publications that many took it as fact. Oh, so Valco is not only ugly and looks like a Westerner and doesn't care about the Chinese audience, but he's also an insult to Chinese culture and China as a country because 731 is associated with his lore. That's false, and many Westerners also were caught with this misinfo, believing it to be true. This was becoming a very big problem to Paper Games. I mean, these news publications were publishing shorts in which they talked about Paper Games' statement and were associating 731 with Valco. And other than just media publications, you even have associations, like the China Women's Association that is affiliated with the government, also make content expressing outrage at the whole letting the wolf in sentence, or the whole never bathe in the pot sentence, pushing the narrative further that this game is not safe for women, that it's their enemy. They weren't alone in this regard, because there would be another association by the name National Defense Education that would make a blog post echoing those same statements. But believe it or not, things would get even worse. The people who wanted Valco gone wanted the attention of the government by any means necessary. And other than creating the narrative of enemy of the
That's so
state,
crazy.
they would also do something else that's sure to attract eyes from the government at any given moment in time. And that is creating countless complaints to the China Consumers Association, saying that they got scammed by this company. Over 60,000 verified complaints were made in the span of just a few days. And honestly, it doesn't even matter if they're real or not, okay? This is a way that many Chinese people boycott or target companies that have screwed them in some way. Because at the 40,000 complaint mark, automatic safeguards get triggered at any given company. This means that automatically, the China Consumers Protection Agency contacts that company just to see what's going on. And so, with this unbelievable and unprecedented pressure that was put on Paper Games, even with them already addressing this and doubling down, kind of defending themselves, on June 30th, they would post a letter pretty much announcing that they were going to cancel Valco's release and not release any more love interests in the game for the foreseeable future. Just as a reminder, it had been barely a week since the first trailer for Valco, and they were already canceling everything. So this is like as if Genshin announced an entirely new region and a week later decided to cancel the entire thing and said, hey, by the way, no more regions. The game's done. This also meant that all the story content that was finally going to come to the game after a 6-month content drought was going to be canceled too.
Yeah,
It
what the hell?
genuinely could not have been worse for anyone who likes this game. To announce such a big update and cancel it after barely a week, this had never happened, especially for a game of this scale. This post would be viewed over 26 million times and would have over 40,000 replies. Many of the top ones were ratioing it. They were in utter disbelief that Paper Games would bend to such toxic and loud people in the Chinese community. This game was created to
This does
make
feel
you
like
as a
consumer
woman
fraud.
playing it feel seen and acknowledged. And yet, with this announcement, they had essentially told all global players, we don't care about you even existing. That's how it felt. Even though they were put between a rock and a hard place, even though they were cornered by what was going on in China, this still felt horrible for just about anyone who ever played this game. You go anywhere, whether it be Twitter, Reddit, any other place this community was present in, and you would see just the disbelief. They genuinely couldn't believe this had just happened. But honestly, if you took a step back, none of this really made sense. This was really overblown for no reason, and anyone with common sense could see that. A huge chunk of Paper Games revenue came from global players, so how come they were just forced to bend the knee so quickly? Well, that's because they had become the worst thing you can ever be in the country of China, becoming an element of chaos. Okay, so let's get one thing straight. There was a timeline to this, and it wasn't always about being an enemy of the state or whatever. This had started out with consumer dissatisfaction about Valco, about the fact that he looks gay and Western and all that stuff, but then Chinese media publications would start twisting it into something way bigger than it actually was. It went from consumer dissatisfaction to women's safety to becoming an enemy of the state with 731 to Paper Games refusing to take responsibility, being arrogant. And eventually, because of how badly Paper Games was portrayed in media, this wouldn't just be about, hey, let's just cancel this
Gotcha
character.
Goblin,
This
she
would be
covered the
like,
whole
hey,
situation
you
pretty
deserve
well.
more punishment.
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
company. You
I
deserve
don't
to go
really watch her
bankrupt.
anymore, but
And
yeah,
hence why they had become
I
an
used to
element of
watch
chaos.
her.
So what is that exactly? Well, it's a term I came up with, I guess. But in China, the most important thing
And I've
that
seen
has to be
Angel's
maintained is order.
videos. Or
As soon as
video?
something goes
Have you
against
just,
that, as
like,
soon as
only
something
watched one?
interferes, then they become a problem. A great example of this actually happened to Hoyoverse back in 2021. The reason? Well, Hoyoverse had released a music video of Honkai Impact characters dancing in bunny suit outfits. They had not released it in China. Chinese players took grave offense to this and started calling Hoyoverse a traitor, an enemy of the state. Hence why someone tried to assassinate the CEO. Yes, it was over the stupidest thing imaginable, yes. But that wasn't even Hoyoverse's biggest worry, because people would employ the same strategy used against Paper Games, mass reporting Hoyoverse to the Chinese Consumer Protection Agency and creating a narrative online that they are an enemy of China. Eventually, this would prompt them to delete that Bunny Girl dance music video off every platform imaginable, while also releasing an apology. They would give their players some crumbs as a reward, while giving the Chinese players almost 3 times the amount of rewards, apologizing to them for doing this unforgivable thing. I had made a video about this almost 2 years ago, so it really shows that even a company like Hoyoverse is not immune to this. This was after Genshin Impact had come out, by the way. The way they were able to get past this without any issues was by apologizing, removing the music video everywhere, and having the CEO join the political party of China. This was him pretty much saying, hey guys, I'm not your enemy, I'm not a traitor, look. Because when the government gets involved, everything becomes existential. And this is exactly what was happening to Paper Games. On the 8th of July 2026, the Ministry of Public Security would publish a statement about what was going on with Love in Deep Space. I mean, this is pretty much the government saying this. They'd say, recently, an online game targeting female players has sparked widespread controversy. The game features a storyline where the male protagonist breaks into a woman's home late at night, accompanied by offensive promotional slogans such as, "What's wrong with letting a wolf into the house?" packaging the illegal act of trespassing as a romantic encounter. This kind of entertainment-driven, traffic-driven creative work disregards public order and morality,
they use the
crosses legal
question mark and
boundaries,
comma
and
too.
may ultimately endanger public safety. The safety of women living alone is a serious public issue concerning personal rights, social order, and the protection of women's rights, and it is by no means material for arbitrary adaptation or meme creation. Chinese law strictly protects citizens' rights to housing, and no one may illegally intrude. China's criminal law clearly stipulates that those who commit the crime of illegal intrusion into residence can be sentenced to imprisonment for up to 3 years or detention. If a game packages such behavior as fun interaction, it may be suspected of promoting and glorifying illegal and criminal methods, which is not only a disregard for the authority of the law, but also a blatant transgression against the spirit of the rule of law. Even more dangerous is its intangible erosion of public perception. This creative logic that prioritizes traffic can easily mislead the public, especially causing cognitive biases in minors whose minds are not yet mature, weakening their vigilance against dangerous behaviors and seriously undermining the effectiveness of public safety
minors should not be
education.
playing Love and Deep
I just want to point out that this game is not for minors, okay? It's mature only, 18 plus. But still, this was the narrative and you couldn't do anything about it. They would then continue, some might argue that games are games and reality is reality, they shouldn't be confused. However, facts have shown that online game content that crosses ethical boundaries can seriously negatively impact the healthy development of teenagers. In 2018, 15-year-old Xiao Tang became deeply addicted to a violent video game. Seeking the thrill of killing in the virtual world, he brutally murdered his 23-year-old female neighbor. This tragic case should serve as a stark warning to everyone. You then have an image of Valko, so Valko was acknowledged by a government agency as being a source of a problem, and then they would continue, the virtual space created by online games is never a lawless zone. Laws and regulations, such as the regulations on the governance of online information content ecology and the regulations on the protection of minors online,
it's taking forever just because it takes forever for these things to load.
Of content that may incite
I
minors
just want
to
to click
imitate
through this.
unsafe behaviors, induce bad habits,
Sorry, it's the
or
report
violate
cards I'm talking
social
about.
morality, thus setting a clear bottom line for the creation of online game content. As of now, all relevant characters and storylines in the game have been taken offline for rectification, a move that addresses public concerns.
14
However,
plus in
taking it
America
offline is
genuinely
not the
baffled.
end.
Yeah, I'm very
Deeper
confused by that, to be
reflection
honest.
is needed. This incident serves as another warning
I
to
guess
the industry.
technically
Any
they
content
don't
production
show
that deliberately blurs the
anything,
lines
kind of.
illegality,
But like the
glorifies
last
dangerous
spicy
behavior,
card we
or
had,
undermines
they
public
showed
safety
their
will
fingers
ultimately
coated
be
in
subject to legal
something
sanctions and public
viscous.
resistance. So here they were acknowledging that Valko got removed, that this was the right step, but that
Like,
deeper reflection was needed,
okay.
indicating potentially
The implication,
even
yeah,
further
the implication
censorship
is
now that
like
the game had
very
a target
strong.
on its back. They would then end this by saying, to address the chaos in online game content, a comprehensive approach is needed across the entire chain of creation, review, and regulation.
It was clearly
Game companies must abandon
Milk isn't
profit-driven
viscous,
motives
not like
and improve
this.
their multi-tiered content
yeah.
risk control and review systems to eliminate misleading and harmful content at the source. Regulatory authorities should adhere to strict governance,
Have you eaten
refine
today?
review
Me?
standards, and resolutely hold accountable
yeah, I had
companies
an
that overstep
egg,
their bounds and violate
a boiled
regulations.
egg, and
Simultaneously, families, schools, and society must
a
work
tangerine
together to
with some
strengthen legal
Greek
and
yogurt
safety
for
education
breakfast.
for teenagers and safeguard the healthy growth
I need
of minors.
to
The title of this, by the way, was Glorifying
get
Intrusion
ready for
is
lunch soon. I thought maybe I could
Unacceptable
have time to do
Even in
some
Online
Genshin
Games.
because this would just be clicking
This
through, but
was
it takes forever
a
for things to
disaster,
load. So
attracting the
maybe no
eyes of a
time for
government
Genshin.
agency like
'Cause I have a
this and
singing
having
lesson
them
today, so I have
write
to get
such
to
a
that.
staunch article against you was the literal last thing you wanted as a Chinese company.
The
You'd rather
nighttime
have your
audios,
entire
yeah, the
executive
nighttime
board get
audios
fired than
are
this.
very
Look,
spicy.
the global side was already in disbelief, and I'm going to talk about how they did their best to fight against this decision. But seeing that Chinese media was talking about this and seeing that this article from the Ministry of Public Security had been made, many global players would start spreading misinformation. Like this person right here would make a post with over 2 million views in which they would write a fan fiction saying that someone powerful in the Chinese government got angered enough that now all otome in China could be permanently affected. Or how this post with over 1 million views would say that allegedly the dev team is threatening to leave
I don't know
paper
about that.
games if Valko isn't reinstated.
He
These
should be
things are not
reinstated for the dev
confirmed in
team's
any
sake.
way,
I agree
shape, or
with that.
form. But this is what happens when the developer of a game is on a different internet
Like,
than
the-
yours,
if the devs
using an entirely different
worked
language.
so
But
hard,
global
like,
players, as
imagine
well as
2
many
years
Chinese
of work
players
thrown
weren't
out.
simply going to sit idly by watching their favorite game get destroyed right in front of them. And so, a global movement would be born overnight. A movement that is unprecedented in terms of scale that I have never seen before. Barely 24 hours after Paper Game's very unpopular announcement saying that they were going to remove Valko from the game, a new topic would start trending on Twitter with hundreds of thousands of posts within 24 hours and millions of posts within 1
Bring
week.
Valko back,
The
yeah.
hashtags Valko is loved and We love Valko would go absolutely viral, and global players would demand that he come back home. As I mentioned earlier, this was overblown, and the audience for Love in Deep Space wasn't stupid.
I like
Oh,
this.
boo-hoo.
I like this. This is funny. I think Beck sent me this and said, wow, the worst thing they could say about Xavier is he can't cook. Look at this. Silas kidnapped MC. Raphael and Caleb stalk MC. Caleb sees her as his little sister while effing her. Xavier's bitch ass can't cook. Zane, you nasty bitch, you fuck your patient. I'm like, yeah, they all have problematic relationships.
He snuck into your home.
But
Well, what
Xavier,
about the
he just
other
can't
love
cook.
interests? Silas
His
kidnaps
crime,
you, Raphael
can't
and
cook.
Caleb stalk you, and one of them is your adopted brother that you grew up with as a kid, and then later on, when you both grow up, you're there just scissoring like chimpanzees in heat. This just didn't make any sense. And while yes, 731 was a really, really stupid mistake, it was in the game for 2 months before people somehow now finally noticed and took offense to it.
My friend
It was
asked me, look, this
overblown,
game is fine. It
felt
is. The game
staged, and
is
it just didn't
fine.
make any sense.
The game is great.
But Paper Games
You just
had
have to
made
be
their
used
decision. They
to,
removed Valko
you know,
and
like
actually
I
took
read a
this
lot of VL,
seriously.
right?
And so the
To me, this is nothing.
consequences immediately took place. If they thought that these toxic Chinese players were their biggest problem, they had no idea what they were dealing with. A huge chunk of silent Chinese players that weren't toxic and crazy would be very disappointed in Valco's cancellation. In fact, you can track revenue that the game makes in China, and while there were many people frustrated over Valco looking Western or gay or whatever, their revenue would only start taking a dip after they had canceled Valco, showing us two things. The first being that they might have underestimated how many Chinese players actually like Valco, and the second being that
not used to being
Western
used, just
players
used to
also underestimated how many Chinese
Xavier
players
is a
were
safety
going
hazard
to
in the
boycott
kitchen.
this game because of the whole 731 situation. Within just a week, they would lose 50% of how much they would usually make. Within less than 24 hours, they would lose over 100,000 followers on multiple platforms, and eventually they'd lose over 100,000 on TikTok, and would lose so many on Instagram that they would end up privating their profile.
Oh my
They
gosh.
would also get absolutely review bombed on the Apple App Store with a rating that's now below 3 out of 5. And on Google Play, their rating is now 1.3 out of 5.
1.3 is crazy.
One of the most abysmal ratings I've ever seen. Hell, people were so pissed that they brought back a good old tradition that had occurred during the first anniversary of Genshin, which was not only review bomb the game, but also review bomb Google Classroom. If
What
bad
did Google
reviews
Classroom
start reaching
do?
Google Classroom, you know that this controversy is massive.
What did Google
At the
Classroom
same time, you have a
do?
petition on iPetitions get made that has over 240,000 signatures to bring back Valco, and you'd also have a Change.org petition with almost 100,000 signatures now, with Change.org's own social media page making a tweet about it, bringing more attention towards it. One Levadices player would take this even further and report the game to the Consumer Protection Agency of their country, Mexico, because this was a false promise in their opinion. This is a product, something was advertised, and then withdrawn, which makes it false advertising. All of Levendice's
Google
social
Classroom
media would
taking
get
hits every
flooded
year,
with
so
hashtags such as
diabolical.
Bring
I
Valco
know.
back. Even
I'm
their
sure the
ads
people
on
who
TikTok
like
would get absolutely flooded.
whoever's
Compared
affected
to
by
this,
Google
what was going
Classroom,
on in
right?
China
It's
was
just like,
nothing.
why?
Everything here was being absolutely
Why
invaded.
us?
And to show the developer that this was
Update Play
financially
Store
a really bad
store
mistake on
score
their
is now
end, someone would create a
1.4.
website in which you could enter how much money you spent on the game and attach a message to it. So far,
Yeah,
the
poor Google
amount of
Classroom.
cumulative money that was spent in the past by players who chose to support Valco is now over $15 million. I mean, look at all these messages behind that huge number. They were screaming to Paper Games that they were making a mistake here. But while the frustration's understandable and their socials being brigaded was to be expected, what really stood out here was how a big chunk of the global audience decided to protest. While Valco haters were busy sending manure and other things to the HQ of Paper Games, the global audience that wanted Valco in the game decided to instead use their money for good. Some would fundraise enough money to buy a billboard in Times Square saying "Bring Valco back," and this billboard crowdfunding strategy would occur all over the world, in New York, in the Philippines, in Malaysia, in Thailand, hell, even in Peru. This was them truly showing solidarity between each other, even though they came from such different countries and regions. But I mentioned this audience using their money for good, and that's exactly what they did in Valco's name. They would donate to a women's shelter in Canada and say that this donation is from Valco. They would donate over $44,000 for the Guangxi flood relief in Valco's name as well. This was a place that was hit by severe flooding in China, and these Valco enjoyers were pretty much helping them out. You'd have 11 Deep Space player that normally spent $1,500 every 2 weeks on the game decide to instead use that
2
money
weeks,
to feed
wow.
over 400 dogs in 3 different shelters, while again doing so in
1.5K,
Valco's name.
jeez.
There are so many examples like this, with donations coming from global players for Chinese causes like wildlife conservation, or uniting to save an endangered species, or raising money over $20,000 for wolf conservation because Valco's a half wolf guy, and also donating over 100 chocolate milk bars to 100 kids in Indonesia, all while using Valco's name and appearance, making him out to be a symbol of hope rather than a symbol that threatened women's safety like
If
in
Valco
China.
doesn't get released,
All of this was
he'll
done
be
in
the
hope
people's
that on
beloved
July
OC.
9th, when
The amount of
6.0
fan
would
content
come
I've
out,
seen. Yeah.
Paper Games would change their minds. They would still decide to release Valco even though they canceled him. And they would take this activism even IRL, because Love and Deep Space would have a booth in Anime Expo in the US. There, they'd have different cosplayers meant to
Oh,
represent
that's so
every
sad.
love interest. But
The
unfortunately,
empty
it seemed like there
space.
was one booth meant for Valco that was canceled last minute. So what did they
Oh.
do? Did they bring cow poop or a weapon? No. Instead, they'd go around asking people to pick their favorite lad by placing a star around them, and Valco would receive the most stars. This was again meant to showcase the staff that we want Valco back. But while they did make it to Anime Expo, on July 8th, they would start canceling different events that they were meant to attend. Like, for example, an event that was meant to take place in Japan, saying, after carefully reviewing the event content in light of changes to the in-game content, so removing Valco, we have decided to cancel the event. On that same day, they would also announce the cancellation of a massive event scheduled for Bilibili World, a huge event in China. And so by now, this was attracting all sorts of global media publications.
I did it!
With Jing Daily publishing an
I
article
submitted!
titled, China's top otome game lost 70 million hearts in 10
I
days.
approved all of the
even
report
TV
cards.
news channels were talking about this too. And hell, even Queso would talk about this somehow. A chatter would tell him about the drama, Queso would look into it and say, 11 Deep Space is wrong for scrapping its newest character, saying they didn't bring out the character because the fans said he was ugly, that's messed up. So look, all of this was meant to raise awareness, but also showcase to the Chinese government agencies that this game was not an element of chaos, it was an element of goodness. These donations in Valco's name were meant to spread positivity and goodness across the world. And to be honest, they did. Objectively speaking, that's exactly what they did. Instead of fighting fire with fire, the global audience decided to fight fire with good, with water. It was also done to show Paper Games just how much of a mistake they were making by listening to the toxic side of their fan base instead of the good side. The one that was willing to donate hundreds of thousands of dollars to charities in Valco's name was the one who was really being hurt with this. The hope was that on July 9th, Valco would still somehow show up when they would open the app after updating. But unfortunately for them, that day would end up being the darkest in this community's history. On July 9th, 2026, the 6.0 update would come out for 11 Deep Space. Many players downloaded it hoping to open the app and find Valco waiting for them there. Instead, they found nothing. No Valco, no new main story, just the new kitchen feature, and that was just about it. Some people would have issues downloading this update, and so 11 Deep Space would make this post saying, today's update has concluded, while giving some pointers as to how to fix these errors, like reinstalling the game, for example. This would be the last post on their socials up until mid-July. And so everyone would take out their grievances right here. It would get over 17,000 replies. Again, ratioed multiple times with people in complete disbelief. How could you? Instead of listening to the good side of the community, people who are willing to put money where their mouth is and donate to good causes in Valco's name, how could you listen to the toxic people who send you literal cow shit to your offices? The global players felt like someone had put a knife in their back. And what didn't help was that this update was extremely buggy. I mean, there are certain things in here that my nightmares wouldn't even be able to conjure up. Like, what is this? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, how does this even happen? Like, I don't even know, like, what kind of code, how does this even occur? Here's my favorite glitch, personally. Like, what the fuck is that? Anyway, the first thing that players did after not seeing Valco was go to the love interest character selection screen and see whether the whole coming soon text was still there. And to their extreme disappointment, it wasn't. It seemed like Paper Games was intent on the promise of no more new characters. This was the worst possible news for just about any player. The community was devastated. This was a character they were very excited for, that they couldn't wait to interact with, and he was gone as quickly as he had arrived to their lives. Slowly but surely, any remaining hope players had was being removed right in front of them. Like, for example, the Valco channel and the 11 Deep Space official Discord server would be deleted after the update would go live. And after all this time, things were really starting to set in for many players. So we're just getting a stupid rerun of a banner instead of a new love interest, a new main story update, new cards, new myths, new poses, new interactions. This wasn't just about Valco. This was the biggest update of the year, and all of a sudden, it's not coming anymore. And remember how people were now fearful of further censorship now that the game had attracted multiple government agencies? Well, that's exactly what happened. All the love interests had a certain theme of an outfit in which they had numerology on them, numbers that signified different meanings. Well, they were all censored, or just straight up removed. Look at this, for example. It said 95, now it says gibberish. This was no doubt done to avoid any other 731 issues, and that's simply what happens when you become an element of chaos in China. Many global players and even Chinese players warned these extremely toxic and loud fans in China that any censorship, any removal of something in-game will result in even more censorship, and that's exactly what was happening. What added more fuel to the fire was that some rumors would start spreading about the role that Valco would have played in the main story, like the fact that he was the one who fixed Caleb's arm, or that he's a friend to Zane. These dynamics between the characters in the story is exactly why people played 11 Deep Space, and there they were, having to watch it get confiscated from them. And so people started drawing up comparisons to another game made by Paper Games called Infinity Nikki, which I made a video about around a year ago. That game had sudden censorship one day, where its tutorial level, its actual lore was changed for no reason, it was retconned, and even though the community had boycotted the game for months and created a large movement around it, Paper Games didn't budge. That terrible tutorial level is still there today. And what was also interesting is that the update that removed the tutorial level came with a lot of bugs. So at this point, it almost seemed like it was a pattern for any game Paper Games had made, and it didn't really inspire optimism. This was really the worst case scenario, but bear in mind, not just for global players, for Chinese players too, even the toxic ones. This Chinese player here would make it very clear in a post they made on Weibo. They'd say that with this outcome, everyone loses. More importantly though, this game was a great outlet to promote overseas players' understanding of Chinese culture as well as Chinese success. Now, many of the players that were affected globally are not just vowing to boycotting Love in Deep Space, they're vowing to boycott any Chinese game. This player would go very hard on these toxic Chinese players, blaming them for halting the success of a Chinese company and therefore a Chinese cultural export, while also lamenting the fact that this game was pretty much ruined as well as its reputation in anything made in China. This also led many Love in Deep Space players to
Sorry, I
look
have to
forward
reply
to
to
a
a message from my
competitor's
boss.
release called Silent Whispers, another 3D
Yes, but I
high-quality
submitted the
Otome
report
game
cards.
in which
We
they
are
hope
done.
to be treated better. This trailer right
Yeah,
here was
Nikki
released 2
situation
months
is
ago, and
crazy.
all the top comments are
Oh,
just
this is
people being
crazy
like,
because it's
"Use this
literally
fumble
just
from Love in Deep Space
it's literally
to rise,"
just
or "Goodbye,
like
Love in Deep
the
Space,
first
hello,
character they
Silent
show is
Whispers,"
just
because
Silas.
this game
It's
would
just a
also be
copy
giving
paste
them
of
something that they wanted
Silas.
for a long time, a PC client.
Hello,
It seemed
Beedrill
like they were actually
Fanatics.
listening,
Sorry, I didn't
unlike
realize that was a new
Paper Games.
chatter.
But
Yeah,
like
I
that, it would take a
am
lot
doing
at this
some work
point to
currently,
fully
and we're
crush
listening
all hope
to
that the
this video in the
community had
background.
for Valco releasing. One player would point out, hey, listen, when 3.0 came out and Caleb came out, he didn't come out on the first day of the update. He came around in the second half of the update. So in other words, hey,
I
when
know
the
a
second
PC
half of this
client would be
update comes
nice.
out on July 17th, let's hope that we'll find Valco there waiting for us. What they'd end up finding instead, though, pure and utter disappointment.
Ah,
At this point, Love in Deep Space Chinese revenue was doing horrendously bad, worse than it's ever been. On one day, they'd maybe make $200,000. Now they were making $60,000. Yes, it's still a lot of money, but it's less than half of what they made before. This showed that the Chinese audience, genuinely, the majority, the people who actually spend money, were outraged still at Valco not being included. And these were the consumers that mattered. And at the same time, as people were hoping,
yeah, they
that
shouldn't have
Valco would
given
come
in to
second
the
half of
few
update,
loud
they'd get
people,
an
you know?
in-game notice saying that actually the second half would have a heartfelt gift for Zane, a free 5-star memory in which you interact with him. Now, what's interesting is that the official social media accounts wouldn't make this announcement. As I said, it's been a ghost town since the 9th of July. It would only be announced through an in-game notice, okay? So further making their communication style even worse and going against the promise that they made at the end of June saying we'll communicate more with you guys. What was really interesting though was that there
Didn't
was this
realize you-
Twitter
yeah,
account with the handle
I-
Z with a Zane profile picture. that
I'm
would
also
leak
like a
the
manager of
trailer
sorts, so
for
I'm
this
like
memory,
super
something that
busy
was meant to be
these
posted
days.
by
But
the official
I'm
social
on
media
vacation
accounts.
next week. We're
Once
going to be
enough people
doing a
found
lot
it,
more of
the account would
Genshin.
delete itself. Many players pointed out that they didn't like the trailer because the face of the protagonist, which is the character that you create, the woman that you create, would be hidden throughout the trailer. The reason why this is a problem is because many Western players like to self-insert themselves into the game, while Chinese players don't like that.
We
It seemed
don't like to
even with this
self-insert
trailer, they
ourselves,
were
though. That's
still
the whole
trying
point,
to satisfy the
right?
most toxic
Like, I feel like he
players in
worded
China.
that weirdly.
However, even after all this, there was still hope because something positive out of China would come out on July 15th, 2026. Various media outlets would publish positive reports related to Valco, ones that might be deemed as government affiliated. To be specific, there'd be 5. The first one being Reform Network, the second one being Tencent, the third one being Business Daily, the fourth one being NetEase, and the fifth one being Phoenix News. However, by July 16th, 4 of the 5 would be deleted, and only 1 would remain. And that would be the one posted on the website of the National Development and Reform Commission, otherwise known as the NDRC. The 4 others would be paid ads, and it would be mentioned at the end of the articles. I don't know whether it's players wanting Valco back that paid for it, I don't know whether it's Paper Games that did that, but it caused a lot of confusion. The reason why this article was a big deal was because it was somewhat state affiliated, and it talked about the efforts being made to bring Valco back globally in a positive manner. It
Ooh.
would say, with overseas players continuing to voice their opinions, how can Chinese games translate global feedback into increased content? As of July 15th, the main petition on the overseas petition platforms iPetitions demanding the reinstatement of the romanceable new character Valco in the game Love in Deep Space had garnered over 240,000 signatures and 80,000 comments. Meanwhile, on Change.org's game petition page, 3 main petitions related to Valco received 96,000, 21,000, and 5,900 signatures respectively. This 2-week-long cross-platform participation indicates that overseas users' demands have not subsided quickly despite the character's removal. Following the cancellation, overseas players' actions gradually expanded from petitions to fan art, charitable donations, and offline events. Unlike the initial comments and emotional expressions that emerged during the early stages of the game's controversy, the actions of overseas players have now continued beyond the originally scheduled launch date. In the comments section of the main petition page on iPetitions, some users stated that they were inspired by Valco to download, return to, or continue following the game.
Yeah, a lot
while
of people
others
were looking
suggested
forward to him, that they were like
compromises, such as
gonna
delays or modifications
restart the
before
game.
release. This article would then take this
Like those who
further,
had taken
giving us
breaks.
numbers, saying that 60% of the revenue from the game comes from China, but that the rest comes from global players, highlighting just how important their opinions are. This was significant because up until now, everyone's data points were all over the place. This is a privately held company and they typically don't really reveal the demographic portions, but seeing that this is a government-affiliated publication, these numbers hold more weight.
Hi, Shiny.
And what really made Valco enjoyers optimistic
How are you doing?
while
I
reading
finished
this
my work.
article
I
would be
finished
one
my
of the
report
final
cards.
paragraphs, where it would say whether Valco will be reinstated should be
I still have to
determined by
do
Paper Games based on content
writing
quality,
test marks,
market
but
data,
I'll save
and
that for
long-term planning.
after.
However, the continued growth of overseas
Maybe tonight,
petitions
because
has
I have
provided a significant signal. When a character can generate signatures,
a singing lesson, so I
creative
should eat
works,
soon.
charitable activities, and offline actions in multiple countries and regions, re-examining and product validation of them is not merely a response to public opinion, but may also be a repricing of global user needs and existing content investment. For a leading product like Love and Deep Space that already has a global user base, turning this feedback into richer content offerings and more refined overseas operational capabilities is perhaps more valuable than letting related demands remain outside the game in the long run. So for many Western players, this was as if the Chinese government was telling Paper Games, hey, whether you want to keep shooting yourself in the foot or not, that's just up to you. We don't really care. But you should probably reinstate him. So as I said, for many, this article was a celebration. Like, oh my God, our efforts are actually doing something. And they kind of
Imagine.
are. This article acknowledged all the good things they were doing. Like, these news were reaching China, which was wonderful. At the same time, it also see Chinese government agencies reminding people that malicious reviews, harming the reputation of businesses, online harassment, use of bots, paid accounts, AI-generated posts are against the law. So again, to many, this felt like they were directing this towards people who engaged in this behavior against Love and Deep Space, and that they were about to get in trouble with the law. This again signaled to people that, hey, maybe things are finally calming down.
Oh wait,
Some
I forgot.
Chinese players would even use a VPN
see
to
if
get
I
on
need to do
Twitter to
report cards
thank
for this one
overseas
other
players
class.
for the positive engagement they were bringing to the game and to Valco. Like this post saying, overseas sisters, without you all, none of this would be possible. Honestly, it was very wholesome. It was wonderful how a community so large could work together regardless of borders or distance or culture. But of course, in parallel, the toxic Chinese players had a movement of their own. And there was coordinated effort on Chinese social media to counter any positive news coming out from Valco
Ow! I
fans.
do have one more
But we
class to
just
do.
read
Okay,
a
never mind.
government-affiliated publication just highlight these positive
But it's my
things,
own
so I
report
don't know if
card,
it's
so that's
working
easier.
that well. When it came to Love and Deep Space, though, as I said, they had a total media blackout. The only thing they had said ever since the July 9th
I'll
update
save this
post
page,
would
leave
be
it
a
open so I can do
Facebook
it.
reply about winners of some giveaway or something or competition. Here, they'd indicate that they were going to post again on July 29th talking about the winners, while of course getting like 36 angry reactions. Does this mean that their media blackout will last until the 29th and then they'll post again regularly, maybe updating the community? Who knows? But so far, as I said, total media blackout, even with a new free memory coming out in-game, still nothing, and no trailer.
Oh,
as
it's
well,
our
of course.
Zane
So,
compensation
overall,
card.
the ball was now in the court of Paper Games. Are they actually going to bring back Valco? Or are they going to listen to this disgusting, toxic side of their community and throw their global community that's willing to donate to charities in Valco's name under the bus? It remains to be seen. But honestly, seeing that they had made the terrible decision of removing Infinity Nikki's amazing tutorial and backstory and refused to change it even after massive backlash and a big boycott, I just don't know if this developer is capable of listening to the community on such major issues. This also might truly be out of their hands. This might be out of their control completely, but we don't have proof. We can only assume on what's going on behind the scenes, and I prefer not to assume. And I do hope that Valco is brought back to this game. If you had to ask me though, I'm not very optimistic, but hey, seeing that this community has been very optimistic and donating to so many amazing causes, you know what? I'll change my mind and be optimistic too. Let's
That's
hope for
kind
the
of where
best,
I'm at.
because
I'm like,
if that happens, it'll be a wonderful story that will be never forgotten on the internet. And with that, I want to thank my wonderful community for
no
making
need
this
to rain
very
under
comprehensive
like, you know,
legal doc
hopes and
about the
dreams, you know?
entire incident involving Valco.
Media blackout is
with
crazy.
sections
You've never
like
seen a game company go so quiet.
speculations,
I
a
know.
glossary for people who have no idea about the game. And the
Well, they
different
weren't
terms
quiet
used,
at first,
memes,
but then
Twitter
like
links.
they
I didn't
dug
even ask
themselves
them to
into
do
a
this. They just
hole.
did it by themselves because they're so passionate about this game and the community. So thank you to I, Dea, Doc, Jin, Helianthus, Laurel Doll, Mimi, Ray, Red Rose, Sen, Starfall, Watt, and Woof. You guys are the best. And if you want to propose topics for me to talk about in my videos, or just talk about different topics with like-minded individuals, then definitely join my Discord server.
Okay. So that's a good place to end. It's also 12:01. I swear my next stream will be an actual gaming stream and we can talk about other things. I have so much work to make sure I finish. And I didn't have time to do it because I'm subbing for Miss Free Pass. So yeah. Okay, I will see you guys on if probably not tomorrow, then maybe yeah, because I have a appointment in the morning. So maybe on definitely on Monday. After Monday, I of class like after classes on Monday, I'm on holiday. So yeah, be free for a week. So yeah. Thank you for joining me and keeping me company as I slug through the work. My problem is like I knew if I sat here by myself, I would turn on Genshin and play. So I was like, if I have an audience to hold me accountable, I'll finish my work. Like that's low key or high key because I just admitted it. That's kind of the reason that I did a stream, even though like I was just working. Stream was so laid back and nice. Oh, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Yeah, usually the streams I think are pretty laid back. And it's mostly like just like gameplay or running around and chatting. So yeah, hopefully you'll experience one of those soon. All right, I will be streaming more regularly next week, and I'll have more morning streams and evening streams. So that way we'll get in like um just more time in general, right? For people who can't usually be here. All right. You feel used? I'm sorry you were a little bit used. Happy to be of service. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm so glad to see like some new chatters in here as well. Welcome. I don't do introductions very well. But my name is Pedal. I usually do Genshin Impact streams and Friendship Friday podcasts with a very good friend of mine in which we chat about our weekly lives and issues that we care about. But yeah, that's it. I can't believe I'm doing my intro at the end of the video. Oh, by the way, guys, so this is kind of like a small thing and not like really a big deal or anything like that. But um I think if I get like 700-ish more like real views or something on my videos, I can apply for partner with YouTube. And I don't know if it'll like completely work out, but since I am pretty close, I just thought I would bring that up. So if you wanted to check out any of my other like videos and stuff, I have some very silly lore theory videos that could be fun for you if you're into Genshin, just so you can laugh at me because they are kind of crazy. I have my favorite video is the Kevinly principles. So yeah, just putting that out there. But yeah, so if you guys could add to the view count a little bit, that would be very helpful. But no pressure. You do not have to at all. I just look forward to seeing you guys in more streams if I can get the timing right. All right. Bye-bye.